Lucas Hale had built empires, closed billion-dollar deals, and stared down corporate sharks without flinching. But the moment he walked into that restaurant and saw his blind date crying, really crying, shoulders shaking, mascara running, every instinct screamed at him to leave. He didn't do emotional messes. He couldn't afford to. Not anymore. Not since the funeral. Not since Sophie started asking why Mommy wasn't coming home. His hand was already on the door when she looked up, and something in those red, swollen eyes stopped him cold. He recognized that look. He saw it every morning in his own mirror. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this story travels. And if it moves you, hit that like button. Now let me tell you how two broken people found each other when they'd both given up on being found. The reservation was for 7:30. Lucas arrived at 7:15 because that's what successful people did. They controlled the variables, maintained the advantage. The restaurant was one of those places where the lighting cost more than the food, all Edison bulbs and exposed brick, the kind of spot where tech entrepreneurs pretended to be humble while discussing their third-round funding. He hated it immediately. "Mr. Hale, your table is ready." The hostess smiled with practiced warmth, the kind that came from years of pretending wealthy customers were fascinating rather than insufferable. "I'm waiting for someone." "Of course. Can I get you started with something from the bar?" "Water's fine." She nodded and disappeared, leaving Lucas standing near the entrance like an idiot, tugging at his collar. The tie felt like a noose. He'd told Marcus, his business partner and allegedly his best friend, that he wasn't ready for this. 6 months since Emma died. 6 months of Sophie crying herself to sleep. 6 months of him pretending he knew what the hell he was doing as a single father. "You need to get back out there," Marcus had said over scotch in Lucas's office, feet up on the desk like he owned the place. "Emma wouldn't want you alone." Lucas had almost thrown his glass at him. What did Marcus know about what Emma would want? Emma was gone. Emma was ash in an urn on the mantel that Sophie thought was a decorative vase. Emma was a hole in the world that no amount of money or work or pretending could fill. But Marcus had already set up the date. Some woman from his wife's book club or yoga class or wherever the hell wealthy people met other wealthy people. "She's nice," Marcus had promised. "Normal. You'll like her." Lucas didn't want to like anyone. The hostess returned with water in a glass that probably cost $40. "Your date just arrived. She's at the table." "Thanks." He straightened his jacket and walked through the restaurant, past couples leaning close over candlelight, past groups of friends laughing too loud over wine. His table was in the back corner, supposedly private, supposedly romantic. He could already see her silhouette against the window, and then he got close enough to see her face. She was crying. Not delicate, photogenic tears either. Real crying, the kind that made your face blotchy and your nose run, the kind that came from somewhere deep and dark and usually private. Her shoulders were shaking. She had a napkin pressed to her eyes, but it wasn't helping. Mascara streaked down her cheeks in black rivers. Lucas stopped walking. Every rational part of his brain said to turn around. This was a disaster. This woman was clearly going through something, and he was the last person qualified to deal with anyone else's emotional crisis when he couldn't handle his own. He could text Marcus later, make an excuse, maybe even be honest for once, and say he wasn't ready. He was already turning when she lowered the napkin and looked up. Their eyes met. Lucas forgot how to breathe. It wasn't because she was beautiful, though she was, even with the crying, even with the ruined makeup. It was something else, something in her expression that he'd seen before, in other faces, in other moments that left permanent marks. He'd seen it in his mother's eyes after his father walked out. He'd seen it in Emma's eyes during her last week when the pain was so bad she couldn't hide it anymore. He'd seen it in his own reflection every single morning since the funeral. Brokenness. Real, bone-deep brokenness that no amount of makeup or smiling or pretending could cover up. The woman saw him staring and her face crumpled further. "Oh, God," she said, her voice thick and wet. "You're him. You're Lucas Hale." "I am." "I'm so sorry." She started gathering her purse, her phone, the napkin, hands shaking so badly she dropped everything twice. "This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come. I'll just wait." She froze, half standing, looking at him like a deer caught in headlights. Lucas didn't know why he said it. Didn't know why his feet carried him to the table instead of the door. Didn't know why he pulled out his chair and sat down like this was normal, like finding your blind date in tears was just another Tuesday. Please, he said quietly. Sit. You don't want to do this, she said, but she was already sinking back into her chair, like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. Trust me, you should leave. Probably. Lucas picked up his water glass, took a sip, bought himself time to figure out what the hell he was doing. But I'm already here. And you're already here, so we might as well. What? Pretend this isn't the saddest thing that's happened to either of us today? Is it the saddest thing? She laughed, a broken, bitter sound. Not even close. The waiter appeared with impeccable, terrible timing. Good evening, folks. Can I start you off with some appetizers? We have a wonderful... Give us a minute, Lucas said, not looking at him. Of course, sir. The waiter vanished. Lucas leaned back in his chair, studying the woman across from him. She was trying to fix her makeup with another napkin, making it worse. Her dress was nice, but not expensive. He had learned to spot the difference years ago. Her jewelry was minimal. Her hands were shaking. I'm Maya, she said finally, giving up on the makeup. Maya Quinn, in case Marcus didn't tell you. He told me your name, didn't mention much else. Probably for the best. She took a shaky breath, meeting his eyes again. Look, I appreciate you not running away immediately, but you really should. I'm a mess, literally and figuratively. This was a stupid idea. I don't know why I agreed to it. Why did you? Honestly? Preferably. Maya's laugh was sharper this time. Because your friend's wife offered me $200 to show up, and I'm so broke right now that $200 seemed worth humiliating myself in front of a billionaire. Lucas blinked. Whatever he'd expected her to say, it wasn't that. She paid you to come on this date? She called it a styling fee. Maya made air quotes with her fingers. Said she wanted to make sure I had something nice to wear. I think she was just trying to be kind. In that way, wealthy people are kind when they pity you but don't want to say it out loud. Jesus. Yeah. Maya picked up her water glass, put it down without drinking. So now you know. I'm the charity case your friend set you up with because apparently you need to get back out there, and I need grocery money. Perfect match, right? She said it like a challenge, like she expected him to leave now, armed with this information. Like she was used to people leaving once they knew the truth about her. Lucas should leave. This whole situation was wrong, exploitative maybe, definitely weird. Marcus's wife had essentially bought this woman's time, dressed her up, and delivered her like some kind of emotional support animal for the sad widower. But he didn't leave. What would you have done tonight if you hadn't come here? He asked instead. Maya frowned. What? You needed $200 badly enough to agree to this. What would you have been doing tonight if you'd said no? She was quiet for a long moment, fingers tracing the rim of her water glass. When she spoke, her voice was softer. Probably working my second shift. I waitress at a diner near the hospital. Tuesday nights are usually good tips. Nurses coming off shift, families waiting for news. I'd have made maybe $70, $80 if it was busy. So you gave up $80 guaranteed for $200 to have dinner with a stranger. When you put it like that, it sounds mercenary. It sounds practical. Is there a difference? Lucas considered this. Sometimes. Not always. The waiter reappeared, hovering at a respectful distance. Lucas waved him over. We'll start with the burrata, he said, not looking at the menu, and the octopus, if it's not terrible tonight. The octopus is excellent, sir. We'll see. Give us another few minutes for entrees. Of course. After the waiter left, Maya raised an eyebrow. You order for women you just met? Only when they look like they haven't eaten anything today. Her face flushed. I ate. What? Half a granola bar around noon. And coffee. Lots of coffee. That's not eating. That's survival mode. Welcome to my life. She said it lightly, but there was an edge underneath. Not all of us can afford $40 appetizers whenever we want. The burrata's $52. Of course it is. Lucas leaned forward. Maya, I'm not trying to flex on you or whatever you think this is. I'm hungry. You're hungry. We're both here already. Can we just eat something and talk like normal people for an hour? No expectations, no weird charity dynamic, just dinner. Why? Why what? Why do you care? You could leave right now. Text Marcus later. Tell him his wife is insane for paying me to show up. Forget this ever happened. Why are you still sitting here? It was a fair question. Lucas didn't have a good answer. Because you were crying, he said finally. And I wanted to know why. Maya's expression shifted, something vulnerable flickering across her face before she locked it down. That's none of your business. No, it's not. So why do you care? I don't know, Lucas admitted. Maybe because I know what it looks like when someone's drowning. And you look like I feel most days. The words came out before he could stop them, more honest than he'd meant to be. Maya stared at him, really looking at him now, past the expensive suit and the styled hair and the armor of wealth. Marcus's wife told me about your wife, she said quietly. I'm sorry. Don't be. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't help. No, I guess it doesn't. The appetizers arrived. Perfect burrata with heirloom tomatoes and basil, octopus charred just right with chickpeas and lemon. The kind of food that cost more than Maya probably made in a day. She picked up her fork, put it down, picked it up again. I don't know how to eat this, she said. Which part? The octopus. I've never had octopus. Is there a trick to it? Lucas couldn't help it. He smiled. First time in weeks. Just eat it. There's no wrong way. There's always a wrong way when you're poor in a place like this. You're not poor tonight. Tonight you're just a person having dinner. Forget the rest. Maya took a tentative bite of octopus, her eyes widening. Oh, wow. Good? Stupid good. Like offensively good. I hate that this is so good. Why? Because now I'll know what I'm missing. But she took another bite anyway, and another, and Lucas watched her slowly relax, just a fraction. They ate in silence for a while. Lucas realized he was hungry too, actually hungry, not just mechanically eating because Sophie needed to see him eat. The food was good. The silence was not terrible. You want to know why I was crying? Maya said suddenly. Only if you want to tell me. She set down her fork. I got evicted this morning. Well, evicted is too official. My landlord changed the locks and put my stuff on the curb. Illegal as hell, but what am I going to do? I can't afford a lawyer, can barely afford anything. Lucas felt something twist in his chest. Where are your things now? A friend's garage. What could fit anyway? Had to leave most of it. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. 28 years of life, and it all fit in 6 boxes and 2 trash bags. Pretty pathetic, right? It's not pathetic. Feels pathetic. Feels like I'm 30 years old and I've got nothing to show for it except debt and eviction notices and a closet full of clothes I keep for job interviews I never get. What kind of job interviews? Any kind. I've got a degree. Barely finished it. Took me 7 years because I kept having to drop out when I couldn't afford tuition, but I got it eventually. Business administration, like that means anything. I've applied to probably 300 jobs in the last year. You know how many interviews I've gotten? How many? 12. You know how many job offers? None. She took a long drink of water. I'm overqualified for service jobs and underqualified for everything else. No experience because no one will hire me to get experience. It's a perfect trap. Lucas had heard this before. The cycle that kept people poor, the structural barriers that were invisible until you were inside them. He'd always understood it intellectually. Seeing it in front of him, in a real person trying not to fall apart, made it different. What about tonight? He asked. You said you were working a second shift. Where's your first shift? I clean offices overnight, 11 to 6, 5 days a week. Then I sleep a few hours and go waitress at the diner from 2 to 9. Then sleep. Repeat. That's not sustainable. You think I don't know that? Her voice rose, sharp enough that the couple at the next table glanced over. Maya lowered her voice, but the anger remained. You think I want to live like this? I'm barely sleeping. I'm living off coffee and whatever food the diner throws out at the end of the night. I haven't had a day off in 3 months, but if I stop, if I slow down even a little, I'll end up on the street, so I don't stop. I wasn't criticizing. Yes, you were. Maybe not out loud, but I can see it on your face. The same look everyone gives me when they find out how I live. Like I'm a cautionary tale, like I made bad choices and now I'm paying for them. Did you make bad choices? Maya's laugh was bitter. Depends who you ask. I trusted the wrong people. Signed a lease with a boyfriend who emptied our account and disappeared. Took out student loans for a degree that turned out to be worthless. Didn't have parents who could bail me out when things went wrong. Those bad choices enough for you? I didn't have parents who could bail me out either. But you had something. Money doesn't appear out of nowhere, even for billionaires. She was right. Lucas had caught breaks, a scholarship, a mentor who saw potential, connections that opened doors. He'd worked hard, but he'd also been lucky. The difference between him and Maya might just be timing and opportunity. You're right, he said. I got lucky. Multiple times. Maya looked surprised, like she'd expected him to defend himself. At least you're honest about it. What's the point of lying? Most people lie. Makes them feel better about having so much when other people have so little. The waiter returned. Have we decided on entrees? Lucas looked at Maya. What do you want? I don't know what half this menu is. Then we'll get several things and share. Bring us the lamb, the halibut, and the pasta, the one with the truffles. Excellent choice, sir. After the waiter left, Maya shook her head. You know that's probably $300 worth of food, right? I know what things cost. Must be nice. Sometimes it just makes the loneliness more expensive. The words hung between them. Maya studied him carefully, reassessing. Your friend said you had a daughter. Sophie, she's 5. That must be hard, raising her alone. Lucas's throat tightened. Hard doesn't cover it. She asks about her mom every day. Sometimes, multiple times. I don't know what to tell her anymore. The truth is too much. Lies feel wrong, so I just stumble through it, badly. I bet you're doing better than you think. I'm really not. Last week she asked me to braid her hair. I watched 3 YouTube videos and still made it look like a bird's nest. She cried. I cried. We both gave up and she went to school with a ponytail. Maya's expression softened. That sounds pretty normal, actually. Normal doesn't feel good enough. Normal never does. But it's all most of us get. The entrees arrived. Perfectly cooked lamb, halibut with crispy skin, pasta so fragrant Lucas could taste the truffle oil from across the table. They divided everything onto their plates, and for a while they just ate. Maya was right about the food. It was offensively good. And watching her experience it, really experience it, not just eating to survive, made Lucas see it differently too. When was the last time he'd actually tasted his food instead of mechanically consuming it? Can I ask you something? Maya said, twirling pasta on her fork. Go ahead. Why did you really sit down? When you saw me crying, what made you stay? Lucas took his time answering, cutting a piece of lamb he didn't immediately eat. I saw my wife die slowly over 8 months. Cancer. By the end, she couldn't hide the pain anymore. Couldn't pretend to be strong. And I watched all our friends disappear because they didn't know what to say, didn't know how to handle the reality of it. People avoid pain when they can. But you didn't avoid mine, I mean. I'm tired of avoiding things. And you looked... He paused, trying to find the right words. You looked like someone who'd been invisible too long, like you were used to people not seeing you. That's exactly what it feels like, Maya said quietly. Like I'm screaming and no one can hear me. I heard you. Why? Because I'm screaming too. The admission surprised them both. Lucas never talked like this. Not to Marcus, not to his therapist, not to anyone. But something about this moment, this impossible situation, made honesty feel easier than lying. What are you screaming about? Maya asked. That I don't know how to be a father without a mother in the picture. That I built this entire empire and can't figure out how to make my daughter's lunch without burning the grilled cheese. That I'm terrified every single day that I'm failing her. That she'll grow up remembering me as the dad who tried but wasn't enough. You love her. Of course I love her. Then you're not failing. Kids don't need perfect. They need present. Is that from a parenting book? It's from experience. My dad wasn't around. My mom worked 3 jobs and still barely kept us fed. But she was there. She showed up. That's what I remember. Not the poverty, not the struggle, just that she didn't leave. Where is she now? Maya's face closed off. Dead. Heart attack 6 years ago. Couldn't afford insurance, ignored the symptoms until it was too late. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't help. She echoed his words from earlier, but gentler. But thank you. They finished eating. The waiter cleared the plates and offered dessert, which Lucas declined. He asked for the check instead, and when it came, $437 for dinner, he didn't even glance at it before putting down his card. Maya watched him sign the receipt. I made $500 last week, working 80 hours. I know. You just spent almost that much on one meal. I know that too. Doesn't that bother you? Lucas met her eyes. Yes, every day. I give away millions to charity every year, and it still doesn't fix the fundamental wrongness of it. But I don't know how to fix it. I just know how to write checks and hope they matter. Do they matter? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. They stood to leave. As they walked through the restaurant, Lucas noticed Maya moving differently than when she'd arrived. Head higher, shoulders straighter. Still broken, maybe, but not invisible. Outside, the air was cool and clear, the city lights reflecting off windows and wet pavement from an earlier rain. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. You need a jacket, Lucas said. I need a lot of things. Jacket's pretty far down the list. He shrugged off his suit jacket and held it out. She hesitated. It's just a jacket, he said. I've got 20 more at home. Of course you do. But she took it, pulled it on. It was too big, swallowing her frame, but she looked warmer. They stood awkwardly on the sidewalk, the date officially over, neither quite ready to leave. Thank you, Maya said finally, for not running away, for staying. Thank you for being honest. I don't get a lot of that. Rich people problems? Human problems. A cab pulled up. Maya started toward it, then turned back. Can I ask you one more thing? Sure. Do you think people like me, people who are struggling, do you think we deserve it? Like cosmically? Do you think we did something wrong to end up here? Lucas thought about Emma, who did everything right and still died at 34. Thought about Sophie, who'd done nothing wrong but still lost her mother. Thought about randomness and luck and the million invisible factors that separated success from failure. No, he said firmly. I don't think the universe works like that. I think terrible things happen to good people all the time, and good things happen to people who don't deserve them. Which category are you in? Both, neither. I don't know anymore. Maya smiled, sad but real. Yeah, me too. She got in the cab. Lucas watched it pull away, taillights disappearing into traffic, and realized he didn't want her to go. Didn't want to go back to his empty house and his sleeping daughter and the crushing weight of loneliness that met him every night. His phone buzzed. Marcus. How'd it go? Lucas stared at the message. How did it go? He'd met a woman who'd been paid to show up, who was homeless and broke and working herself to death, who'd been crying when he arrived and left in his jacket, who'd made him feel more human in 2 hours than he'd felt in 6 months. It went. He typed back. That's it? Come on, give me details. Later. He pocketed his phone and started walking. Not toward his car, not toward home, just walking, processing. Somewhere in the city, Maya was going back to whatever friend's couch she was crashing on, wearing his jacket, carrying his business card he'd slipped into the pocket when she wasn't looking, his private number on the back. No explanation, no expectation. Just a lifeline if she needed one. He didn't know if she'd call, didn't know if he wanted her to. Didn't know anything except that for the first time since Emma died, he'd connected with another human being, really connected. Not the surface-level sympathy from acquaintances or the transactional relationships of business. Real connection. The kind that left you feeling raw and exposed and somehow more alive. Lucas walked for an hour before heading home. When he got there, Sophie was asleep and the house was dark and quiet. He checked on his daughter. She'd kicked off her blankets again, and carefully tucked her back in. She stirred, but didn't wake. I met someone tonight, he whispered, not sure why he was telling his sleeping child. She was sad. I was sad. We were sad together. Is that weird? Sophie mumbled something unintelligible and rolled over. Lucas kissed her forehead and left the room, pulling the door halfway closed the way she liked it. In his own bedroom, he found himself checking his phone every few minutes. No calls, no texts. He hadn't expected any. He fell asleep around 2, still dressed, his phone on the pillow beside him. When it rang at 2:47 a.m., he jerked awake, heart pounding. Unknown number. Hello? It's Maya. Her voice was small, uncertain. From dinner. I know it's late. I'm sorry. What's wrong? My friend kicked me out. Her boyfriend came home drunk and I was in the way, and now I'm sitting in a parking lot with my stuff, and I don't have anywhere to go, and I know we just met, and this is insane. But your card said to call if I needed anything, and I didn't know who else. Where are you? She gave him an address. A 24-hour grocery store parking lot on the east side, 20 minutes away. Stay there, I'm coming. You don't have to. Stay there, Maya. He hung up, pulled on shoes, grabbed his keys. Sophie was still asleep. He called his housekeeper, the one who lived in the guest house out back specifically for emergencies like this, and explained quickly. She'd watch Sophie. He'd be back in an hour. The city was different at 3 a.m., emptier, stranger, more honest somehow. Lucas drove fast, breaking speed limits he never broke, running yellow lights that turned red. He didn't examine why, didn't question the urgency. He found her sitting on her duffel bag under a streetlight, still wearing his jacket, surrounded by the boxes and bags that contained her entire life. She stood when his car pulled up, relief washing over her face. "Get in," he said, popping the trunk. "What about my stuff?" "We'll load it. Come on." Together they filled his trunk and back seat with her belongings. So few things for a whole life, barely enough to fill the car. When they finished, Maya climbed into the passenger seat and Lucas started driving. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe." "Where's that?" Lucas didn't answer right away. He was breaking every rule he'd set for himself after Emma died. No complications, no emotional entanglements, nothing that could hurt Sophie or hurt him. But Maya sitting in his car, exhausted and displaced and trying not to cry, didn't feel like a complication. She felt like someone who needed help, someone he could actually help. "I own some properties," he said finally. "Apartments. There's a 2-bedroom in the Arts District. Tenant just moved out last week, hasn't been listed yet. You can stay there, temporarily," he added quickly, "until you figure things out. I can't afford. I'm not asking you to pay. I'm offering you a place to sleep that isn't a parking lot." "Why?" "Because I can. Because you need it. Because..." He trailed off, not sure how to finish. "Because you saw me," Maya said quietly. "Yeah, because I saw you." She was crying again, but quieter this time. Exhausted tears. "This is crazy. You know that, right? We just met. You don't know me. I could be anyone. Could be, but you're not. You're just someone who needs help, and I'm just someone who can give it. There's no just about any of this." "No," Lucas agreed. "There's not." He drove them to the apartment, a nice building, renovated last year, the kind of place Maya could never afford on her own. He used his master key to let them in, flipped on the lights. It was furnished, modern, clean, impersonal. The previous tenant had left in a hurry for a job in Seattle, left some furniture behind rather than move it. A couch, a bed, kitchen table. Basics. "It's not much," Lucas said. Maya laughed, a shocked, overwhelmed sound. "Not much? This is the nicest place I've ever lived." She walked through it slowly, touching things like she couldn't believe they were real. Lucas carried her boxes in, stacking them near the door, trying not to notice how little she owned, trying not to calculate how many of these boxes would fit in just his closet. When everything was inside, he handed her the keys. "This is temporary," he said again, feeling like he needed to keep saying it. "Until you get on your feet." "Why are you doing this?" "I told you." "No, really. Why? People don't just do things like this. There's always a reason." Lucas thought about it. About Emma and Sophie, and the loneliness and the guilt of having so much when others had so little. About seeing Maya crying in that restaurant and recognizing something of himself in her brokenness. "Maybe I need to help you as much as you need help," he said finally. "Maybe that's reason enough." Maya studied him for a long moment, keys dangling from her hand, his too big jacket still wrapped around her shoulders. "Okay," she said. "Okay." They stood there, two strangers who'd shared a meal and were now connected in ways neither fully understood. Lucas should leave. It was almost 4 a.m. Sophie would be awake soon. He needed to go, but leaving felt wrong. "I should go," he said anyway. "Yeah." Neither of them moved. "Thank you," Maya said, "for all of this. I don't know how to repay it." "Don't." Don't try to repay anything. Just get some sleep. Figure things out. That's enough. He left before she could argue, before he could second-guess himself, before the whole impossible situation became more complicated than it already was. In his car, he sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, trying to process what he'd just done. He'd given a near stranger one of his apartments, had driven across the city at 3 a.m. to rescue someone he'd met hours ago, had connected with another human in a way he hadn't since Emma died. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Maya's number, he realized. Your jacket's still upstairs. Want me to bring it down? He smiled. Keep it. I meant what I said. I've got 20 more. Thank you for everything. For seeing me. Get some sleep, Maya. You too, Lucas. He drove home as the sky started lightening with pre-dawn gray. Sophie was still asleep. The house was still quiet. Everything was the same. Except it wasn't. Something had shifted. Some wall he'd built around himself since Emma died had cracked just a little. And instead of terrifying him, it felt like he could finally breathe again. Lucas stood in Sophie's doorway watching her sleep and whispered to the darkness, I think I did something right tonight. I think maybe we're going to be okay. Sophie slept on, oblivious. But for the first time in 6 months, Lucas believed his own words. Sophie woke him at 6:30 by jumping on his bed, all elbows and knees and 5-year-old energy that shouldn't exist before sunrise. Daddy, you're still in your clothes, Lucas groaned, pulling a pillow over his face. Sophie, it's too early. Mrs. Chen said you had to go somewhere in the middle of the night. Did someone die? The pillow came off. Lucas sat up, his daughter's face inches from his, brown eyes wide with concern that no 5-year-old should carry. No, baby. Nobody died. I just had to help a friend. What friend? Someone new. Do I know them? Not yet. Sophie climbed onto his lap, her pajamas, the ones with the unicorns Emma had bought 3 months before she died, already twisted around her small body. Mommy used to help people in the middle of the night too, when she was a nurse. Lucas's chest tightened. She did, yeah. I miss her. Me too, Soph. Me too. They sat like that for a moment, father and daughter in the morning light, holding on to each other because it was the only thing that made sense anymore. Then Sophie wiggled free. Can we have pancakes? I can try. Your pancakes are always weird shapes. That's called rustic. That's called you can't flip them right. Lucas laughed despite himself. When did you get so mean? Mrs. Chen says I'm honest. She says honest is good. Mrs. Chen's right. Come on, let's go make weird pancakes. In the kitchen, Lucas attempted breakfast while Sophie sat at the counter, swinging her legs and chattering about her upcoming field trip to the aquarium. He burned the first pancake, salvaged the second, and was working on a third when his phone rang. Marcus. Of course. Not now, Lucas muttered, declining the call. It rang again immediately. Who's that? Sophie asked. Uncle Marcus. Why aren't you answering? Because I'm making you breakfast. You can do both. Mommy always did both. The guilt hit like a physical blow. Emma had been able to juggle everything: work, parenting, phone calls, life. Lucas could barely manage pancakes. He answered, What? Good morning to you too, Marcus said. So? Tell me everything. Sarah's been asking all morning. Can this wait? You disappeared for 3 hours in the middle of the night. My housekeeper called Sarah. Sarah called me. We've been up worried about you, so no, it can't wait. Lucas glanced at Sophie, who was watching him with interest. I'm with Sophie. So put me on speaker. Hi, Sophie. Hi, Uncle Marcus, Sophie yelled toward the phone. See? She doesn't mind. Now spill. What happened with Maya? Lucas flipped a pancake, nearly dropped it. Nothing happened. You gave her an apartment. How do you... He stopped. Mrs. Chen told Sarah. Mrs. Chen tells Sarah everything. It's why we pay her so well. So yes, I know you gave a woman you just met one of your apartments at 3 in the morning. Want to explain that? Not particularly. Lucas, she needed help. I helped. End of story. That's not the end of anything, and you know it. Marcus's voice softened. Look, I'm not judging. I'm glad you helped her. Sarah feels terrible about the whole setup, by the way. She thought she was being helpful. By paying someone to go on a date with me? When you put it like that, it sounds bad. Because it is bad. Sophie tugged on his sleeve. Daddy, you're burning the pancake. Lucas cursed under his breath, yanking the pan off the heat. The pancake was black on one side. Is that Sophie? Marcus asked. Tell her Uncle Marcus says hi again. You already said hi. Tell her anyway. Uncle Marcus says hi again, Lucas relayed. Why is he being weird? Sophie asked. Because he's always weird. Lucas plated the salvageable pancakes and set them in front of his daughter. Marcus, I have to go. We're not done talking about this. Yeah, we are. He hung up before Marcus could argue, silenced his phone, and focused on Sophie drowning her pancakes in syrup. These are good, she said, mouth full. They're burnt. Only a little bit. They ate in companionable silence, and for a few minutes, Lucas let himself pretend everything was normal. That Emma was just in the other room. That his daughter wasn't growing up without a mother. That he hadn't spent last night rescuing a woman he barely knew. His mind kept drifting back to Maya. Was she okay? Had she slept? Was she having second thoughts about accepting help from a stranger? Daddy, you're not listening. Lucas blinked. Sorry, baby. What? I said, can we go to the park today? Please. I have meetings. You always have meetings. I know, but Mommy took me to the park, even when she was tired. The guilt doubled. Okay, we'll go to the park. Really? Really, after my morning calls, we'll go. Just you and me. Sophie beamed, syrup on her chin, happiness so simple it hurt. Can we feed the ducks? If there are ducks to feed. There's always ducks, Daddy. Then yes, we'll feed the ducks. Lucas cleared the dishes while Sophie went to get dressed, taking twice as long as necessary because she couldn't decide between the purple shirt or the pink one, and also her socks had to match her shirt, but none of her socks were the right color. He solved the problem by suggesting she wear both purple and pink, which delighted her in the way only 5-year-old logic could. His morning calls were torture. Conference calls about acquisitions that didn't matter. Budget reviews that someone else could handle. Strategic planning that felt pointless when all he could think about was Maya sleeping in that apartment, alone with her boxes, probably wondering what the hell she'd gotten herself into. By 11, he couldn't take it anymore. He canceled his afternoon meetings, told his assistant he was unreachable, and loaded Sophie into the car. Where's the park? She asked, buckling herself in. Which one do you want? The one with the big slide. The one downtown? Yeah, can we go to that one? Lucas hesitated. The downtown park was 15 minutes from the apartment where Maya was staying. Coincidence? Or was his subconscious steering him there? Sure, Soph. Downtown it is. They drove through the city, Sophie singing along to the radio, making up words when she didn't know the real ones. Lucas found parking near the park, and they walked hand in hand, his daughter pointing out every dog, every flower, every interesting piece of trash on the sidewalk. The park was busy for a Wednesday. Parents with strollers, elderly couples on benches, teenagers cutting school. Sophie made a beeline for the playground, and Lucas followed, settling onto a bench where he could watch her climb and slide and spin. His phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Is it weird that I slept for 12 hours straight? He smiled. Not weird, necessary. I forgot what it felt like to sleep without worrying someone would steal my stuff or kick me out. How's the apartment? Honestly, I keep waiting for you to text and say it was a mistake, that someone else needs it and I have to leave. That's not going to happen. Why are you being so nice to me? Lucas stared at the question. Why was he? It wasn't just charity, wasn't just guilt about having too much. It was something about Maya herself, her honesty, her refusal to pretend things were okay when they weren't. The way she'd looked at him like he was a person instead of a bank account. Because you didn't treat me like I was broken when we met. Even though I am. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. We're all broken. Some of us just hide it better. You weren't hiding it last night. No, I was too tired to hide anything. Sorry about that. Don't apologize. I needed the honesty. Daddy, watch me. Lucas looked up. Sophie was at the top of the slide, waving frantically. He waved back, watched her slide down screaming with joy, then run back to do it again. His phone buzzed again. Where are you? He shouldn't tell her, should maintain boundaries, keep things professional, whatever the hell professional meant in this situation. At the park downtown. With my daughter. The one near the apartment? Yeah. Small world. Or deliberate choice. Which is it? Both. Neither. I don't know anymore. The three dots appeared for a long time before her response came. I'm going to walk over. Is that weird? His heart rate picked up. No. You sure? Yeah. Come. Lucas pocketed his phone, adrenaline surging for reasons he didn't want to examine. Sophie was on the swings now, pumping her legs, going higher. He pushed aside the worry, she's fine, the swing's safe, stop catastrophizing, and scanned the park entrance. Maya appeared 10 minutes later wearing jeans and a sweater that had seen better days, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked rested but uncertain, like she wasn't sure if she should have come. Lucas stood, waved. She saw him and smiled, walking over. Hi. Hi. They stood awkwardly, two people who'd had an intensely honest conversation 12 hours ago and now didn't know how to exist in daylight. That her? Maya nodded toward Sophie on the swings. That's Sophie. She looks like you. Poor kid, Maya laughed. I meant it as a compliment. I know. Sophie noticed them watching and dragged her feet to stop the swing. She jumped off and ran over, all momentum and curiosity. Who's that? This is my friend Maya. Maya, this is Sophie. Sophie studied Maya with the intense scrutiny only children could manage. Are you Daddy's girlfriend? Lucas choked. No, I'm just a friend, Maya said smoothly, crouching to Sophie's level. Nice to meet you, Sophie. You're pretty. Thank you. So are you. I love your shirt. Sophie looked down at her purple and pink combination proudly. Daddy let me wear both colors. That was nice of him. He usually says I can only pick one, but today he's being extra nice. Well, daddies are allowed to be extra nice sometimes. Sophie considered this. Do you have kids? No. Why not? Sophie, Lucas started. It's okay, Maya said. I don't have kids because I'm not ready yet. Maybe someday. My mommy's not here anymore, Sophie said matter-of-factly. She died. The words still hit Lucas like a truck every time his daughter said them so casually, like she was stating the weather. Maya didn't flinch. I'm sorry. That must be really hard. Sometimes. Mostly, I'm okay. Daddy cries sometimes, though. Sophie, it's true. I hear you at night. Lucas felt his face heat. Maya looked at him, something soft in her expression. It's okay to cry, Maya told Sophie. Crying means you loved someone a lot. That's what Mrs. Chen says, too. Mrs. Chen sounds smart. She is. She makes really good cookies. Do you make cookies? Sometimes. Can you teach me? Sophie, Maya's busy. Lucas tried. I'm not busy, Maya said. I mean, not really. I'd love to teach you sometime. Sophie's face lit up. Really? Really? Can we do it today? Sophie, please, I promise I'll be good. Maya looked at Lucas, a question in her eyes. He should say no, should maintain boundaries, should not invite this woman, this stranger he'd given an apartment to 12 hours ago, into his daughter's life. If Maya's okay with it, he heard himself say. Maya smiled. I'm okay with it. They walked back to Lucas's house, Sophie between them, holding both their hands and swinging herself forward every few steps. She chattered the entire way about school and her friends and the aquarium trip next week and how she'd never made cookies from scratch before, only the frozen kind that Mrs. Chen bought. At the house, Mrs. Chen met them at the door, eyebrows raised. This is Maya, Lucas said. She's going to help Sophie make cookies. Mrs. Chen's expression shifted from surprise to something knowing. I see. Welcome, Maya. Thank you. We have everything you need in the kitchen. I'll be in the guest house if you need me. She left them alone, and Lucas realized he had no idea what happened next. Maya seemed equally uncertain, standing in his foyer like she didn't belong there, which maybe she didn't. Kitchen's this way, he said. The kitchen was one of Emma's designs. White marble, stainless steel, more space than 3 people could ever need. Maya ran her hand along the counter. This is beautiful. My wife picked everything out. She had good taste. Yeah, she did. Sophie climbed onto a stool. So, what kind of cookies are we making? Maya surveyed the ingredients Mrs. Chen had left out. How about chocolate chip? The best kind. I agree. Okay, we need butter, sugar, eggs, flour, chocolate chips. She started gathering ingredients while Sophie watched with intense focus. Lucas leaned against the counter, feeling useless. Should I leave you two alone? You can stay, Maya said, unless you have work. I canceled everything this afternoon. For cookies? For Sophie. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. Maya was the first to look away. Okay, Sophie, first rule of baking. We wash our hands really well. They moved to the sink, and Lucas watched Maya show his daughter how to scrub properly, making it a game, laughing when Sophie got soap bubbles in her hair. When had he last heard Sophie laugh like that? Really laugh, not just going through the motions? Now, Maya said, drying Sophie's hands with a towel, we cream the butter and sugar together. That means we mix them until they're fluffy. Why? Because it makes the cookies lighter. Want to try? Sophie nodded enthusiastically. Maya helped her measure ingredients, guided her hands on the mixer, explained each step without talking down to her. She was patient in a way that felt natural, not forced. Lucas found himself remembering Emma doing the same thing, teaching Sophie to help with dinner, explaining why water boiled, why bread rose, why things worked the way they did. Emma had been patient too. He'd forgotten that, forgotten a lot of things in the grief. Daddy, you're staring, Sophie said. Sorry. You can help if you want. I'm good watching. He's afraid of messing up, Maya told Sophie conspiratorially. Some adults are scared of making mistakes. Daddy makes mistakes all the time, like when he burns pancakes. Hey, Lucas protested weakly, or when he puts my shirt on backwards. That was one time. Or when he forgot to pick me up from school and Mrs. Chen had to call him. Maya bit back a smile. Sounds like Daddy's human. What's that mean? It means nobody's perfect. We all mess up sometimes. They added flour, chocolate chips, vanilla extract. Sophie got flour on her nose, then on Maya's nose, then they both had it in their hair. The kitchen became a disaster zone of spilled ingredients and dirty bowls, and Lucas didn't care, couldn't care, because his daughter was happy, and that was worth any amount of cleanup. When the cookies finally went into the oven, Sophie was covered in flour and sugar, grinning ear to ear. How long until they're done? She asked. About 12 minutes, Maya said. That's forever. We could play a game while we wait. Know any good ones? Sophie dragged Maya to the living room, where she produced a battered board game from the closet, something Emma had bought at a yard sale months before she died. Lucas hadn't touched it since. They played while the cookies baked, and Lucas watched from the doorway, unable to participate, unable to look away. Maya was good with Sophie, really good. Not trying too hard, not being fake cheerful, just present, listening when Sophie talked, laughing at her jokes that weren't really jokes, treating her like a person, not just a kid. The timer went off. They rushed back to the kitchen and Maya pulled out perfect golden cookies. They're beautiful, Sophie breathed. You made them, Maya said. I just helped. Can I eat one now? They're hot. We have to wait. How long? 5 minutes. That's also forever. But she waited, bouncing on her stool, watching the cookies cool with religious intensity. When Maya finally said they were ready, Sophie grabbed one and bit in, eyes closing in bliss. These are the best cookies ever, she declared, mouth full. Better than Mrs. Chen's frozen ones? Way better. Can you come back and make them again? Maya glanced at Lucas. If your dad's okay with it. Sophie turned to him, pleading in her eyes. Please, Daddy? What was he supposed to say? No, Sophie, this nice woman who helped you bake and played games and made you laugh can't come back because I'm scared of feeling something again? Because I don't know how to let people in? Sure, he said. Maya's always welcome. Sophie cheered and threw her arms around Maya's waist. Maya stiffened for just a second, not used to being hugged, Lucas realized, then relaxed into it, her hand coming up to rest on Sophie's head. Thank you for helping me, Sophie said into Maya's sweater. Thank you for letting me. When Sophie finally let go and ran off to find Mrs. Chen to show her the cookies, Maya and Lucas were left alone in the kitchen. She's amazing, Maya said quietly. She is. You're doing a good job with her. I'm really not. Yes, you are. She's happy. She's loved. That's what matters. Lucas wanted to believe her. She misses her mom. Of course she does. But she's got you. That counts for something. Does it? Yeah, Lucas, it does. They stood in the kitchen surrounded by the wreckage of cookie making, and Lucas felt something shift inside him, a loosening of the tight grip he'd kept on everything since Emma died. What you did today, he said, with Sophie. Thank you. I didn't do anything special. You did. You saw her. Same way you saw me last night. Maybe I'm just good at seeing broken things. Are we? Broken? Maya considered this. I think we're cracked. But cracked things can still hold water if you're careful. Is that from a fortune cookie? She laughed. No, that's from experience. I've been broke, broken, and everything in between. You learn to patch yourself together with whatever you've got. Sophie came running back with Mrs. Chen, who made appropriate amazed noises about the cookies and snuck one when she thought Lucas wasn't looking. Can Maya stay for dinner? Sophie asked. Sophie, Maya might have plans. I don't, Maya said, but I don't want to intrude. Please? Sophie grabbed Maya's hand. Please, please, please? Lucas looked at Maya. She looked back. Neither of them knew what they were doing, but somehow that made it easier. Okay, Lucas said. Dinner. But I'm ordering in because if you think my pancakes are bad, you should see me try to cook dinner. What should we get? Sophie asked. What do you want? Pizza. You always want pizza. Because pizza's the best. They ordered pizza. While they waited, Sophie convinced Maya to read her a story, then another story, then another. Lucas watched from the doorway, his daughter curled against this woman who was practically a stranger, listening to her read with total attention. When the pizza arrived, they ate in the dining room, a room Lucas usually avoided because it was too big, too formal, too full of memories of family dinners that would never happen again. But with Sophie chattering and Maya laughing and grease dripping down their chins, it felt less empty. After dinner, Sophie started yawning, fighting to keep her eyes open. Someone needs a bath, Lucas said. No bath. Not tired. You're falling asleep in your pizza. I'm not. Sophie, I can help, Maya offered, if that's okay. Lucas hesitated. This was crossing another line, letting her into bedtime routines, into the most domestic parts of their lives. Please, Daddy, Sophie mumbled. I want Maya to help. Okay, but then it's bedtime for real. They went upstairs, Sophie holding Maya's hand, Lucas trailing behind. In the bathroom, Maya ran the bath while Sophie picked out her pajamas. The unicorn ones again, always the unicorn ones. Lucas stood in the doorway, watching Maya test the water temperature, add bubble bath, help Sophie undress. She moved like she'd done this before, which didn't make sense because she'd said she didn't have kids. I used to babysit, Maya explained, catching his look. Helped raise my little brother before he moved in with his dad. I know my way around bath time. Sophie climbed in, immediately covering herself in bubbles. Maya knelt beside the tub, washing Sophie's hair while the girl talked about school and friends and the aquarium trip and a dozen other things. Maya? Sophie said suddenly. Yeah? Are you going to be my daddy's girlfriend? Lucas nearly choked. Maya handled it better. We're friends right now. Is that okay? I guess, but Daddy needs a girlfriend. He's lonely. Sophie, you are. You get sad at night. I hear you. Maya looked at Lucas over Sophie's wet head. He looked away, embarrassed. Being sad doesn't mean he needs a girlfriend, Maya said gently. Sometimes people just need time. How much time? I don't know. Everyone's different. Mommy's not coming back. The statement hung in the air, so simple, so devastating. Maya didn't flinch. No, she's not. So Daddy should probably find someone new eventually, otherwise he'll be lonely forever. Your daddy has you. You're pretty good company. Sophie considered this. I am good company. The best. They finished the bath, dried off, got Sophie into her pajamas. She demanded 2 stories, got 1.5 before she started falling asleep mid-sentence. Maya kissed her forehead without thinking, then froze, realizing what she'd done. Is that okay? she whispered to Lucas. He nodded, unable to speak. They left Sophie's room, pulling the door halfway closed, and stood in the hallway like teenagers who'd stayed out too late. I should go, Maya said. Yeah. Neither of them moved. Today was really nice, she said. I haven't felt this normal in a long time. What's normal? This. Baking cookies, eating pizza, playing games, just being part of something. You're always welcome to be part of this, whatever this is. Maya smiled. What is this? Honestly, I have no idea. Me neither. They walked downstairs. At the door, Maya turned back. Lucas? Yeah, thank you. For last night, for today, for treating me like I matter. You do matter. Not to most people. Then most people are idiots. She laughed, surprised. Maybe. Drive safe. Text me when you get home. Home. She tested the word. That's going to take some getting used to. After she left, Lucas cleaned the kitchen, putting away dishes, wiping down counters. Mrs. Chen appeared silently, started helping without being asked. She's good with Sophie, Mrs. Chen said. I know. And good for you too, I think. Mrs. Chen, I'm not saying you need to marry her tomorrow. I'm saying it's nice to see you smile again. I smile. Not like that. Not real. She finished the last dish and patted his arm. Emma would want you to be happy. She told me so those last few weeks. Said she worried most about you being alone. Lucas's throat closed up. She said that? Many times. Said you were terrible at being alone, that you needed people. Mrs. Chen headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I think Maya might need people too. Maybe you can need each other. She left him standing in the kitchen, Emma's kitchen, thinking about needing and being needed and whether that was enough to build something on. His phone buzzed. Made it home safe. Thank you again for today. Thanks, Sophie. She's the one who wanted you to stay. Smart kid. She likes you. I like her too. And you? Yeah? Yeah. Good night, Lucas. Good night, Maya. He went to bed that night and didn't cry for the first time in 6 months. Didn't lie awake cataloging his failures as a father, as a husband, as a human being. Instead, he thought about cookies and laughter and Sophie's face covered in flour. Thought about Maya reading stories with his daughter curled against her. Thought about being seen, really seen, by someone who understood brokenness from the inside. And for the first time since Emma died, Lucas let himself imagine what tomorrow might look like instead of dreading it. The next morning, Lucas woke to find Sophie already dressed and standing by his bed, staring at him with unsettling intensity. Can Maya come over again today? He checked his phone. 6:45. Soph, it's barely morning. But can she? She has her own life. She can't just come over whenever you want. Why not? Because that's not how the world works. Sophie's face fell. But I like her. I know you do. Don't you like her? Lucas sat up, rubbing his face. This conversation was too complicated for before 7 a.m. Yes, I like her, but Maya's looking for a job. She's got things to do. Like what? Like, I don't know. Adult things? Can't she do adult things here? Sophie, please just ask her. She might say yes. Lucas looked at his daughter's hopeful face and knew he was going to cave. He always caved. I'll text her, but if she's busy, you can't be upset. I won't be upset. She was absolutely going to be upset. He pulled out his phone, stared at it for a full minute, trying to figure out what to say. Finally settled on simple. Sophie wants to know if you're free today. The response came fast. Tell Sophie I'm very free. What did you have in mind? Honestly? No idea. She just wants you around. I want to be around too. What time? Lucas glanced at Sophie, who was practically vibrating with anticipation. Whenever works for you. Give me an hour to make myself presentable. You looked fine yesterday. I looked like someone who slept in a parking lot 2 days ago. Fair point. See you in an hour. Sophie squealed when he told her, already running to her room to change her outfit, even though she'd just gotten dressed. Lucas heard drawers opening, clothes being thrown, The particular chaos only a 5-year-old could create before breakfast. He showered, shaved, spent too long picking out a shirt before settling on the first one he'd tried on. When had he last cared what he wore? The funeral, maybe. Everything since had been autopilot. Mrs. Chen appeared with coffee and raised eyebrows. Maya coming back? Apparently. Good. House feels less empty with her here. It's been one day. Sometimes one day is enough to know. She left him with that cryptic statement and his coffee. Lucas drank it, standing at the kitchen window, watching the sun come up over the yard Emma had designed. She'd wanted a garden, had planned to teach Sophie about growing things, about patience and seasons and life cycles. Another thing that would never happen. His phone buzzed. Marcus again. He'd been calling and texting since yesterday, increasingly frantic. Lucas kept ignoring him because he didn't have answers to the questions Marcus would ask. Didn't know how to explain what was happening because he didn't understand it himself. Maya arrived exactly an hour later, wearing different jeans and the same sweater, her hair down this time. Sophie launched herself at Maya before she'd fully cleared the doorway. You came! Of course I came. I said I would. We're going to have so much fun today. What are we doing? Sophie looked at Lucas expectantly. He looked back, equally blank. We didn't actually plan anything, he admitted. Can we go somewhere? Sophie asked. Please? I want to show Maya stuff. What stuff? I don't know. Fun stuff. Park stuff. Adventure stuff. Maya laughed. Adventure stuff sounds good. What do you think, Lucas? What he thought was that he had a company to run, calls to return, meetings he'd already rescheduled twice. What he said was, sure, let's have an adventure. They ended up at the Science Museum because Sophie insisted Maya needed to see the dinosaurs. Lucas hadn't been since before Emma got sick. Couldn't remember the last time he'd done something just because Sophie wanted to, not because it was scheduled or required or part of maintaining normalcy. The museum was packed with school groups and families, noise echoing off the high ceilings. Sophie dragged them through exhibits, talking a mile a minute, pointing out every fossil and fact like she'd personally discovered them. Maya listened to all of it, asked questions, got genuinely excited about things Lucas had stopped seeing years ago. She made it fun. Made him remember why these places existed in the first place. Look at this one, Sophie said, pointing at a massive T-Rex skeleton. His name is Rex. Isn't that funny? A T-Rex named Rex? Very funny, Maya agreed. Mommy used to say he looked grumpy, like he needed a nap. Lucas tensed, waiting for the sadness, the tears. But Sophie just smiled at the memory and moved on to the next exhibit. Maya caught his eye, a question there. She's been doing that more lately, Lucas said quietly, mentioning Emma without falling apart. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Both, maybe. It means she's accepting it, but it also means she's forgetting. She won't forget. Not the important stuff. How do you know? Because I lost my mom, and I remember everything that matters. Not the details. I couldn't tell you what she wore most days or what we had for dinner, but I remember how she made me feel. That doesn't go away. They followed Sophie to the space exhibit, where she pressed her face against a display about Mars rovers and declared she was going to be an astronaut when she grew up. Yesterday you wanted to be a veterinarian, Lucas said. I can be both. Astronaut veterinarian, taking care of space dogs. There are no dogs in space. There could be. I'll bring them. Maya crouched next to her. I think that's a great plan. Space needs more dogs. See, Daddy? Maya agrees with me. Maya's encouraging your chaos. What's chaos? It's a compliment, Maya said, winking at Lucas. They spent 3 hours in the museum, Sophie running from exhibit to exhibit until she finally crashed, begging to be carried. Lucas hoisted her onto his shoulders, and she immediately went limp, exhausted. Food? Maya suggested. Please. They found a diner a few blocks away, slid into a booth, ordered burgers and fries and milkshakes. Sophie revived enough to eat, then promptly fell asleep against Lucas's arm, chocolate shake mustache on her face. She's out, Maya said. She does this. Burns through all her energy, then just shuts down. It's sweet. Lucas looked down at his daughter, her small body warm against his side, her breathing already deep and even. Yeah, it is. Maya picked at her fries. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why are you doing this? Eating lunch? This, all of this, yesterday, today, Letting me into your life when you don't know me. Lucas considered his answer carefully. You want the truth? Always. I don't know. Maybe because Sophie likes you. Maybe because you're the first person in months who doesn't look at me with pity. Maybe because when I'm around you, I don't feel like I'm drowning as much. Maya's eyes were bright. You feel like you're drowning? Every day. Since Emma died, it's like I'm underwater and everyone else is on the surface. They can breathe fine. I'm just trying not to go under. I know that feeling. Yeah? Yeah. Poverty's like that. You're always one problem away from disaster. Always trying to keep your head up. Is it getting better? With the apartment, I mean. Better doesn't feel like the right word. More stable, maybe. Less terrified. She paused. I got 3 job interviews this week. That's great. Maybe. Probably not. I've learned not to get my hopes up. What kind of jobs? Office stuff. Admin assistant, data entry, customer service. Nothing exciting, just something that pays. Lucas wanted to offer her a job at his company, knew it was too soon, too complicated. Instead, he said, You'll get something. You're smart, resilient. That's worth more than most people realize. Not to HR departments. Then they're idiots. She smiled. You keep saying that about people. Because it keeps being true. Sophie stirred, mumbled something about space dogs, went back to sleep. Maya watched her with an expression Lucas couldn't quite read. What? He asked. Nothing. Just, she's lucky to have you. Most days I think she got a bad deal. Most days you're wrong. They finished eating. Lucas paid while Maya gathered their things, and they walked back to the car with Sophie still asleep on Lucas's shoulder. He buckled her into her car seat where she immediately curled into a ball and started snoring softly. Where to now? Maya asked. Lucas checked his watch. 2 p.m. He had a conference call at 3 that he couldn't miss, reports to review, emails stacking up. The responsible thing would be to go home, let Maya leave, get back to work. Come back to the house, he said instead. Sophie will want you there when she wakes up. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. At home, Lucas carried Sophie to her room while Maya wandered the first floor, looking at photos on the walls, books on the shelves. Lucas found her studying a picture of Emma. That's her? Maya asked. Yeah. 2 years ago, before everything. She was beautiful. She was. Maya turned to face him. I'm not trying to replace her. I know I can't. I know. That's not what this is. What is this? For the second time, Lucas didn't have an answer. I don't know, but I don't want to stop finding out. His phone rang. Marcus. Again. Lucas silenced it. You should probably answer that, Maya said. Probably. But you're not going to. Not yet. The phone rang again immediately, then again. On the 4th call, Maya raised an eyebrow. Someone really wants to talk to you. Lucas sighed and answered. What? Finally, Marcus practically shouted. Do you know how many times I've called? I've been busy. Too busy to talk to your business partner? We have a company to run, Lucas. I know. Do you? Because you've been MIA for 2 days. You've canceled every meeting. You're not responding to emails. What the hell is going on? Lucas glanced at Maya, who was pretending not to listen while clearly listening. I'm taking some personal time. Personal time? You don't take personal time. You took 2 days off after Emma's funeral and came back. What's different now? I'm different now. Marcus was quiet for a beat. Is this about Maya? Partially. Sarah feels terrible about the setup. She wants to apologize. Tell Sarah it's fine. Better than fine, actually. So you like her? Maya? We're friends. Lucas, you don't have friends. You have business associates and your daughter and me, and I'm only your friend because we started this company together. You don't make new friends. So what's really happening? Lucas walked into the kitchen for privacy, lowered his voice. I don't know, Marcus. I met her and something clicked. She gets it, gets me. And Sophie likes her, which hasn't happened with anyone since Emma died. You've known her for 3 days. I know. That's insane. I know that too. Are you sure you're not just, I don't know, latching onto the first person who showed up? Grief makes people do weird things. This isn't grief. Or maybe it is. I don't know the difference anymore. Marcus sighed heavily. Okay, fine. Do whatever you need to do, but at least check your email once a day. The board is starting to ask questions. I'll handle the board. When? Soon. Lucas, Marcus, I have to go. He hung up before his friend could argue, stood in the kitchen trying to remember why the board mattered, why quarterly reports mattered, why any of it mattered when his daughter was asleep upstairs and there was a woman in his living room who made him feel human again. Maya appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Business stuff. It can wait. Can it? It has to. She studied him. You're avoiding something. Lots of things. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. Okay. She didn't push, didn't pry, just accepted his answer and moved on. I should probably go. Let you get back to work. Stay. Lucas, please stay for dinner at least. Sophie will be disappointed if you leave. Will Sophie be disappointed or will you? Both. Probably me more. Maya's expression softened. Okay, I'll stay. They ordered Chinese food when Sophie woke up, ate it on the living room floor because Sophie insisted it was more fun that way. Lucas couldn't remember the last time he'd sat on the floor to eat. Emma used to do it with Sophie all the time. He thought it was messy and impractical. Now it just felt nice. After dinner, Sophie wanted to play a board game, the same one from yesterday. They played 3 rounds, Sophie winning twice by cheating in ways she thought were subtle but weren't. Maya let her win. Lucas called her on it. What? Sophie protested. I won fair. You moved your piece 6 spaces on a 4. Did not. Soph, I watched you. Maybe you counted wrong. Maya laughed so hard she snorted, which made Sophie laugh, which made Lucas laugh despite himself. When was the last time this house had laughter in it? Real laughter, not the forced kind that came from trying to maintain normalcy? By 8 p.m., Sophie was yawning again, fighting sleep like it was her mortal enemy. Bedtime, Lucas announced. No, Maya just got here. Maya's been here all day. But I'm not tired. You're falling asleep sitting up. I'm not. She yawned hugely, immediately undercutting her argument. Maya stood. I should go anyway. No! Sophie grabbed her hand. You have to read me a story first, please? Sophie, Maya's tired too. I'm not tired, Maya said. 1 story, then I'll go. Deal? Deal! They went through this bedtime routine again. Bath, pajamas, teeth. Sophie picked 3 books and Maya negotiated her down to 1. She read about a bear who couldn't sleep, her voice soft and steady, and Sophie was out before the bear found his den. Lucas watched from the doorway again, same as yesterday, unable to look away. Maya kissed Sophie's forehead like it was the most natural thing in the world, tucked the blanket around her small body, turned off the lamp. They tiptoed out together. She's a good kid, Maya whispered. She really is. Downstairs, they stood in the foyer again, same position as the night before. Maya should leave. Lucas should let her. Neither of them moved. Thank you for today, Lucas said. You keep thanking me. I should be thanking you. For what? For letting me be part of this. Part of something normal and good. It doesn't feel normal. No, but it feels right. Lucas didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to articulate what he was feeling. The mix of guilt and hope and fear and something that might be happiness if he let himself believe in it. Maya reached for the door and Lucas caught her hand without thinking. Wait. She turned back. What? I want to help you with the job search, I mean. I know people. I could make some calls. Lucas, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Why? Because you deserve a chance. And because the system is rigged against people like you, and I'm tired of watching good people struggle when I have the resources to help. Maya's eyes were bright again. That's not how the world works. It could be. You can't save everyone. I'm not trying to save everyone, just you. The words hung between them, heavier than he'd meant them to be. Maya's hand was still in his, warm and real, and Lucas realized he didn't want to let go. Okay, she said finally. Okay, yes. If you want to make calls, make calls. I won't say no to help anymore. Good. But I'm not a charity case. I'll earn whatever opportunity you give me. I know you will. She squeezed his hand once, then let go and stepped back. I really should go now. Yeah. Same time tomorrow? Lucas smiled. Sophie would never forgive me if I said no. What about you? Would you forgive yourself? Probably not. Then it's settled. Tomorrow. After she left, Lucas stood in the empty house, staring at his hand where hers had been, trying to remember the last time he'd voluntarily touched another person, trying to remember when the weight on his chest had gotten lighter. He checked on Sophie, still asleep, still perfect, then went to his office and actually looked at his email for the first time in days. 847 unread messages, reports, questions, decisions that needed to be made. He started working and didn't stop until 2 a.m., catching up on everything he'd ignored, putting out fires, making decisions. But the whole time, part of his brain was somewhere else, thinking about dinosaurs and chocolate shakes and the way Maya looked at Sophie like she was precious, thinking about tomorrow. The next day became a pattern. Maya came over in the morning. They did something with Sophie, playground, zoo, library, anywhere his daughter wanted to go. They ate meals together, laughed together, existed in a space that felt separate from the grief and the loneliness and the crushing weight of single parenthood. Marcus called every day. Lucas answered maybe half the time. You're scaring me, Marcus said on day 5. This isn't like you. Maybe that's good. Is it? I don't know, but I'm not stopping to find out. On day 7, Maya showed up with news. I got a job. Sophie cheered. Lucas felt something twist in his chest. Happiness for her. Fear that everything would change. That's great. Where? Marketing agency downtown, entry level, but it's a real job, benefits and everything. I start Monday. How'd you get it? One of the people you called put in a word. They brought me in, I interviewed, and they hired me on the spot. She looked at him carefully. Thank you for making that call. You got yourself hired. I just opened the door. Still. Thank you. Sophie tugged on Maya's sleeve. Does this mean you can't come over anymore? It means I'll be working during the day. But I can still come over after work if your dad's okay with it. I'm okay with it, Lucas said quickly. Too quickly. Both of them noticed. Maya smiled. Good. That night, after Sophie was asleep, they sat in the living room with wine Lucas had been saving for an occasion he couldn't remember. Maya curled into the corner of the couch, shoes off, looking more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. Can I ask you something? She said. Go ahead. What are we doing? Drinking wine? Lucas, he sighed. I don't know. I don't want to label it or define it or put expectations on it. I just know that when you're here, everything feels less impossible. Is that enough? For now, yeah, it's enough. They talked until midnight about nothing and everything. She told him about growing up poor, about her brother, about the boyfriend who'd stolen everything and left. He told her about building his company, about Emma's illness, about the guilt of being relieved when she finally died because at least the suffering was over. That doesn't make you a bad person, Maya said. Doesn't make me a good one either. You're human. That's all any of us are. When she finally left, Lucas walked her to her car. She turned before getting in. Lucas? Yeah? I'm falling for you. Just thought you should know. His heart stuttered. Maya, you don't have to say it back. I just wanted to be honest. That's what we do, right? We're honest with each other. Yeah, that's what we do. Good night, Lucas. Good night. He watched her drive away, her taillights disappearing around the corner, and let himself admit what he'd been avoiding for days. He was falling too. The realization should have terrified him. Maybe it did, a little. But mostly, it just felt like breathing after being underwater for 6 months. Like maybe drowning wasn't inevitable after all. Inside, he found Mrs. Chen in the kitchen making tea. You're up late, he said. Couldn't sleep. You? Just walked Maya out. She's good for you. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. You're different when she's around. Lighter. Is that okay? To be lighter? Emma's only been gone 6 months. Mrs. Chen poured 2 cups of tea, handed him one. Emma's been gone 6 months. You've been grieving longer than that. From the diagnosis, from watching her suffer. You've earned the right to be happy again. What if I'm not ready? What if you are, and you're just scared? Lucas didn't have an answer for that. Mrs. Chen patted his hand and left him with his tea and his thoughts. He sat in the quiet kitchen, in the house Emma had made a home, and let himself imagine what might come next. Not replacing Emma, he'd never do that, but maybe adding something new, something that helped the hurt heal instead of ignoring it. Maybe that was allowed. Maybe he deserved it. Maybe they both did. His phone buzzed. Maya. I meant what I said. No pressure, just honesty. I know. And Maya? Yeah? I'm falling too. The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Yeah? Yeah. What do we do about it? I don't know. Figure it out together? That works for me. Good night, Maya. Good night, Lucas. Sleep well. He did sleep well for the first time in months without nightmares or waking at 3 a.m. in a panic. Slept straight through until Sophie jumped on his bed at dawn demanding pancakes and asking when Maya was coming over. She has to work now, remember? But after work? Maybe. We'll see. That means yes, right? That means maybe. In dad language, maybe means yes. She wasn't wrong. Maya came over that evening still wearing her work clothes, actual professional clothes she'd bought with her first paycheck advance. She looked different, more confident, like having a job had given her something back. Sophie tackled her the moment she walked in. How was work? Good. I learned how to use all these computer programs and met my team and didn't mess anything up. That's great. How was school? Boring. We learned about fractions. I hate fractions. Fractions are useful. Not for 5-year-olds. Lucas emerged from his office where he'd actually spent the day working, catching up on everything he'd been neglecting. Hey. Hey yourself. They smiled at each other like idiots while Sophie rolled her eyes with the world weariness only small children could master. You guys are being weird again. How are we being weird? Lucas asked. You're making faces at each other. We're just smiling. Weird smiling. Maya laughed and scooped Sophie up. Come on, weirdo, let's make dinner. They cooked together. Actual cooking this time, not ordering in. Maya taught Sophie how to make stir-fry while Lucas attempted to help and mostly just got in the way. The kitchen filled with smoke when the oil got too hot, and they had to open windows and wave dish towels at the smoke detector, all three of them laughing like maniacs. The food turned out decent despite the chaos. They ate at the kitchen table, Sophie between them telling elaborate stories about her day that probably weren't entirely true, but were entertaining regardless. After dinner, Sophie wanted to show Maya a dance she'd learned in PE class. She performed it with complete seriousness, Lucas and Maya trying not to laugh at her dramatic interpretations of simple movements. That was beautiful, Maya said when Sophie finished with a flourish. I know. I'm a great dancer. Very humble, too. What's humble? It means you're modest about your talents. Sophie considered this. I'm not humble. I'm awesome. Fair enough. Bedtime came too soon. Sophie dragged it out as long as possible, demanding 2 stories instead of 1, needing water, needing another blanket, needing to tell them both one more very important thing about dinosaurs. Finally, she fell asleep mid-sentence, and Lucas and Maya tiptoed out. Downstairs, they didn't stand in the foyer this time. Maya followed Lucas to the living room, curled up on the couch next to him, close enough that their shoulders touched. This is nice, she said. Which part? All of it. Coming here after work, having somewhere to come to. Someone to come to. You can come here every day if you want. Every day? Every day. That's a lot of me. I like a lot of you. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Lucas tensed for just a second, the first real physical contact beyond hand-holding and quick hugs, then relaxed into it. They sat like that in comfortable silence, the TV on low, neither of them really watching it. After a while, Maya spoke. My lease on the apartment ends in 6 months. So? So what happens then? We can extend it or find you something else. Whatever you need. That's not what I'm asking. Lucas knew what she was asking. Where was this going? What were they building? How did they go from strangers to this in less than 2 weeks? I don't know what happens then, he admitted. But I know I don't want you to leave. I don't want to leave either. So we'll figure it out when we get there. That's not much of a plan. Since when do we have a plan for any of this? She laughed softly. Fair point. They stayed like that until Maya started falling asleep, her breathing evening out, her weight heavy against his side. Lucas didn't want to wake her, but knew she needed to go home eventually. Maya, he whispered. Hmm? You're falling asleep. Sorry. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. I should go. You could stay. The words were out before he could stop them. Maya looked at him, fully awake now. Stay? Guest room, not... I just mean you're tired. It's late. You could stay. Lucas, no expectations. Just sleep. I'll drive you to work in the morning. She studied his face, looking for something. Okay, yeah, I'll stay. He showed her to the guest room, gave her one of Emma's old shirts to sleep in, felt guilty about it for half a second before Maya's smile made the guilt dissolve. She looked at the shirt, soft and worn, and put it on without commenting. Bathroom's across the hall, Lucas said awkwardly. Towels in the cabinet if you want a shower. There's... Lucas? Yeah? Stop being nervous, it's just sleeping. Right, just sleeping. Good night. Good night, Maya. He went to his own room, lay in bed staring at the ceiling, hyper-aware that Maya was across the hall, that this was the first woman besides Emma who'd slept in this house, that Sophie would find her in the morning and have questions he didn't know how to answer, that he was okay with all of it. Somewhere around 2 a.m., he finally fell asleep, woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee and voices in the kitchen. He stumbled downstairs to find Maya making breakfast while Sophie sat on the counter chattering away. Maya stayed over, Sophie announced when she saw him. I can see that. She's making French toast, real French toast, not the frozen kind. I see that too. Maya glanced at him, a question in her eyes. He nodded slightly. She smiled. They ate breakfast together, the three of them, and it felt so normal that Lucas had to remind himself it hadn't even been 2 weeks. That normal didn't happen this fast, that he should be more careful, more cautious, more protective of his heart and his daughter's heart. But sitting there with syrup on his fingers and Sophie's laughter filling the kitchen and Maya smiling at him over coffee, careful felt like the wrong choice. So he chose this instead. Maya started staying over 3 nights a week, then 4, then Lucas stopped counting because it felt too much like keeping score of something that didn't need measuring. She kept clothes in the guest room, toiletries in the bathroom, her coffee mug in the cabinet next to his. Small invasions that felt like coming home. Sophie adjusted faster than either of them expected. She'd wake up, pad downstairs, and if Maya was there, she'd climb into her lap without question. If Maya wasn't there, she'd ask when she was coming back. Never why, never how come, just when. Kids are adaptable, Mrs. Chen said one morning, watching Sophie and Maya make pancakes together. They know what's good for them even when adults are too stubborn to see it. I'm not stubborn, Lucas protested. You spent 6 months refusing to be happy. That's the definition of stubborn. She wasn't wrong. Lucas had built walls so high after Emma died that he'd forgotten what it felt like to want to climb over them. Maya hadn't climbed. She'd just stood on the other side being herself until the walls didn't seem necessary anymore. But it wasn't all smooth. 3 weeks in, Sophie had her first real meltdown. It started over nothing. Maya had rearranged the bookshelf in the living room, organizing by color instead of the random system Emma had used. Sophie came home from school, saw it, and lost her mind. You changed it! You changed Mommy's books! Sophie, I was just trying to make it look nice. It was already nice. It was how Mommy liked it. I didn't know, sweetie. I'm sorry. But sorry wasn't enough. Sophie was screaming now, tears streaming down her face, throwing books on the floor. Put them back. Put them back how they were. Lucas tried to intervene. Soph, calm down. I don't want to calm down. She ruined it. She's ruining everything. Maya's face went pale. She started picking up books, trying to remember how they'd been arranged, but Sophie kept crying, kept throwing them, kept screaming that everything was wrong. Sophie, that's enough. Lucas's voice came out harder than he meant it to. Maya didn't know. It was an accident. I don't care. I want Mommy. I want Mommy back. She ran upstairs, slammed her door so hard the whole house shook. Lucas stood in the wreckage of the living room, books scattered everywhere, and wanted to scream himself. Maya was crying quietly, picking up books with shaking hands. I'm so sorry. I didn't think... It's not your fault. I should have asked. I should have known not to touch her things. Maya, stop. Lucas pulled her hands away from the books, made her look at him. This isn't about the bookshelf, it's about Emma. It was always going to happen eventually. What if she hates me now? She doesn't hate you. She's 5 and she's grieving and she's confused. But she doesn't hate you. Maya wiped her eyes. Should I go? No, stay. We'll fix this together. They left the books on the floor and went upstairs. Sophie's door was locked from the inside, a trick she'd learned from YouTube that Lucas had been meaning to disable but hadn't gotten around to. He knocked. Soph, can we come in? Go away. We need to talk. I don't want to talk to Maya. Lucas glanced at Maya. She looked like she wanted to disappear. He took her hand, squeezed once. Sophie, he said through the door, I'm not leaving until you open this door. We can stand out here all night if you want, but we're not going away. Silence. Then the sound of the lock clicking. Sophie opened the door a crack, her face blotchy and red. What? Can we come in? She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. Lucas took that as permission and pushed the door open. Sophie retreated to her bed, hugging her stuffed elephant, the one Emma had given her for her 3rd birthday. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed. Maya hovered in the doorway, uncertain. You want to tell me what that was about? Lucas asked gently. She changed Mommy's books. I know, but it was just the bookshelf, not Mommy. But it was how Mommy liked it. You remember how Mommy had them organized? Sophie hesitated. No, but it was her way. So you're not mad about the actual books. You're mad that something changed. Fresh tears spilled down Sophie's cheeks. Everything keeps changing. Mommy's gone, and now Maya's here, and you're different, and nothing's the same anymore. Lucas's chest tightened. I know, baby. Change is scary. I don't want things to change. I know, but they do anyway. That's how life works. I hate it. Me too, sometimes. Sophie looked at Maya still standing in the doorway. I don't really hate you. I know, Maya said softly. I just miss my mom. Of course you do. You always will. But you're nice too. You make Daddy smile. Your daddy makes me smile too. Sophie wiped her nose on her sleeve. Can you put the books back? I don't remember exactly how they were, Maya admitted, but we could organize them together. You could tell me what feels right. Okay. Sophie slid off the bed, took Maya's hand. But no more changing stuff without asking. Deal, I promise. They went downstairs and spent an hour reorganizing the bookshelf with Sophie directing where everything went. It ended up looking nothing like it had before Emma died. Better in some ways, worse in others, but it was theirs. A new system they'd built together. After Sophie went to bed, Lucas and Maya sat on the back porch with wine and exhaustion. That was intense, Maya said. Welcome to parenting a grieving kid. Does she do that often? Not like that. But she has moments, usually triggered by something random, a song Emma liked, or someone wearing the same perfume, or apparently bookshelf arrangements. I really am sorry. Stop apologizing. You didn't do anything wrong. Maya was quiet for a long time, staring at her wine glass. What if I can't do this? Do what? This. Be what you both need. I've never been anyone's mother. I barely managed to help raise my brother, and I was terrible at it half the time. You're not Sophie's mother, Lucas said carefully. No one's asking you to be. Then what am I? You're you. That's enough. Is it? Sophie told you that you make me smile. In 5-year-old language, that's basically a declaration of love. Maya smiled despite herself. She's a smart kid. She is, and she likes you. Even when she's throwing books and screaming, she likes you. How do you know? Because she let you fix it. If she really hated you, she'd have stayed in her room. They finished their wine in comfortable silence. The night was cool, stars visible, despite the city lights. Lucas couldn't remember the last time he'd sat outside just to sit outside. Emma used to drag him out here, make him stop working, force him to exist in the moment. Another thing he'd forgotten how to do. Lucas? Maya said eventually. Yeah? Where's this going? He'd been avoiding the question for weeks. I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only honest one I have. Do you want it to go somewhere? Yes, but I don't know where. I don't know what somewhere looks like. Maya set down her wine glass. I need more than that. I can't keep existing in this limbo where I'm sleeping here half the week, but we haven't defined what we are. What do you want us to be? I don't know either, but I know I need something more concrete than we're figuring it out. Lucas felt panic rising. Are you saying you want to leave? I'm saying I need to know if there's a future here. Because I'm falling in love with you and your daughter, and if this is just temporary, I need to protect myself. It's not temporary. Then what is it? I don't know. The words came out sharper than he meant them. I don't know how to do this, Maya. I don't know how to love someone new when I'm still grieving someone I lost. I don't know how to let you into Sophie's life without feeling like I'm betraying Emma. I don't know any of this. Maya flinched. You think I do? You think I know how to date a billionaire widower with a kid when 6 weeks ago I was sleeping in my car? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? They stared at each other, both breathing hard, the first real fight crackling between them like electricity. I'm scared, Lucas admitted finally. I'm terrified that if I admit what this is, something will happen to ruin it. That I'll lose you like I lost Emma. That Sophie will get attached and you'll leave and she'll be devastated. That I'm moving too fast or not fast enough or in completely the wrong direction. Maya's expression softened. I'm scared too. Of what? That one day you'll wake up and realize I'm not enough. That you'll look at me and see the poor girl you took pity on instead of someone you actually love. That Sophie will realize I'm not her real mom and won't want me around anymore. That's not going to happen. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll try. I can promise that what I feel for you is real. That it scares the hell out of me how real it is. Maya stood up, paced to the edge of the porch. My therapist told me I have abandonment issues, that I expect people to leave, so I either push them away first or I cling too hard trying to make them stay. You're in therapy? Started last week. Figured if I'm getting my life together, I should probably deal with the mess in my head too. She turned to face him. She asked me what I want. From you, from this, from life. And I didn't have an answer. I've spent so long just surviving that I forgot how to want things. Lucas joined her at the railing. What do you want now? Honestly? Always. I want to stop being scared. I want to wake up in the morning and not wonder if today's the day you'll realize this was a mistake. I want Sophie to call me something other than Maya, but I'm terrified to ask what. I want to belong somewhere instead of always feeling like I'm on borrowed time. You belong here. Do I? Because from where I'm standing, I'm still in the guest room, still keeping my important stuff at the apartment, still 1 foot out the door just in case. Lucas hadn't realized she felt that way. You think I'm keeping you at a distance? I think we're both keeping each other at a distance. We're too scared to go all in, so we're just hovering in this weird middle ground. What would all in look like? Maya laughed, bitter and sad. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't have a model for this. My parents weren't exactly relationship goals. I've never had something good that didn't fall apart. So we're both clueless. Completely. Maybe that's okay. How is that okay? Lucas took her hands, made her look at him. Because we can be clueless together. We can figure out what all in means as we go. We don't have to have all the answers right now. But we need some answers. Okay? Here's an answer. I love you. Maya's eyes went wide. What? I love you. I've been avoiding saying it because it felt too soon and I didn't want to scare you, but there it is. I love you. Lucas, I love that you make Sophie laugh. I love that you reorganized my bookshelf even though you shouldn't have. I love that you're in therapy dealing with your mess while I'm still pretending I don't have any. I love that you fell asleep on my couch and looked so peaceful I didn't want to wake you up. I love how you drink coffee. Too much sugar, no cream. I love that you're scared and honest about being scared. I love you. Tears were streaming down Maya's face now. You can't just say that. Why not? Because it's too much too fast, and what if what? What if it's real? What if it lasts? What if we're actually happy? People like me don't get happy endings. Says who? Says every experience I've ever had. Lucas pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her. She resisted for half a second, then collapsed into him, crying into his chest. I love you too, she said against his shirt. I'm terrified and I don't know what I'm doing, but I love you too. They stood like that for a long time, holding each other on the back porch, while the night grew darker and cooler around them. When they finally pulled apart, Maya's face was a mess of tears and mascara, and she'd never looked more beautiful to Lucas. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we stop pretending this is temporary. Now we admit we're together, really together, and figure out what that means." "What about Sophie? What about her? Does she get a say in this?" "She already had a say. She chose you the first day you made cookies together." Maya smiled despite the tears. "She's smarter than both of us. Most 5-year-olds are." They went back inside, locked up the house, turned off the lights. At the bottom of the stairs, they paused. "Guest room, or?" Maya asked. Lucas hadn't thought that far ahead. They'd been careful about physical boundaries, hadn't pushed past kissing, hadn't talked about what came next. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want to stop sleeping alone." "Okay." "Just sleeping. Eventually maybe, but Maya, just sleeping is good." They went upstairs together. Lucas gave her another shirt, waited while she changed in the bathroom. When she came back, he was already in bed, and she slid in next to him like it was the most natural thing in the world. She fit perfectly against his side, her head on his chest, her arm draped across his waist. Lucas couldn't remember the last time he'd held someone like this. Emma, obviously. But that felt like another lifetime, another version of himself. "This okay?" Maya whispered. "This is perfect. I'm going to have a lot of baggage to work through. I've got plenty of my own. We're a mess." "Yeah, but we're a mess together." She laughed softly. "Is that supposed to be romantic? Is it working?" "Unfortunately, yes." They fell asleep like that, tangled together, and Lucas woke at 3 a.m. in a panic, because for a second he forgot who was next to him. Then Maya mumbled something in her sleep and burrowed closer, and the panic faded. This was different from Emma. Would always be different. But different didn't mean wrong. Morning came too early. Sophie appeared in the doorway, saw Maya in Lucas's bed, and didn't even blink. "Is Maya staying here now? Would that be okay with you?" Lucas asked. Sophie climbed onto the bed, squeezing between them. "Can I paint her nails? Mommy used to let me paint hers." Maya opened one eye. "What color?" "Purple. Or pink. Or both." "Both sounds good." "Really? Really?" Sophie cheered and ran off to get her nail polish, leaving Lucas and Maya alone again. "She just gave you permission," Maya said. "For what?" "To be part of this. She wouldn't offer to paint your nails if she wanted you gone. It's nail polish, not a binding contract." To a 5-year-old, it's basically the same thing. Sophie returned with an entire basket of nail polish, at least 20 bottles, all various shades of pink and purple. She spent the next hour painting Maya's nails while narrating the process like a YouTube tutorial, stopping frequently to fix mistakes and add glitter. Lucas watched from the doorway with coffee, his heart doing something complicated in his chest. This was his life now. This weird, unexpected, wonderful life. The weeks that followed were an adjustment. Maya officially moved out of the apartment and into Lucas's house. Though they kept the apartment just in case, she brought her meager possessions, still only 6 boxes and 2 garbage bags, and they found places for everything. Her books on the shelf, her clothes in the closet, her coffee mug in the cabinet. Small invasions that became permanents. Sophie started calling Maya by her first name still, but sometimes it came out like my Maya instead of just Maya. Progress, Lucas thought. They were all making progress. Marcus finally met Maya at a dinner Lucas couldn't avoid any longer. His business partner showed up with Sarah, both of them clearly prepared to judge. "So you're the woman who's got Lucas acting crazy," Marcus said within the first 5 minutes. "Marcus," Lucas warned. "It's fine," Maya said smoothly. "Yes, I'm apparently the woman who's got him acting crazy, though in fairness, he's gotten me acting pretty crazy too." Sarah laughed. "I like her. She's not intimidated by you." "Should I be intimidated?" Maya asked. "Most people are. Lucas has a whole thing, the money, the power, the tragic backstory." "The tragic backstory is pretty compelling," Maya admitted, "but the person attached to it is better." Lucas felt his face heat. Marcus and Sarah exchanged glances. "Okay, I officially approve," Sarah said. "Sorry about the whole setup thing, by the way. In retrospect, paying someone to go on a date was insane." "Worked out, though," Maya said. "Did it?" I'm here, aren't I? After dinner, Marcus pulled Lucas aside while the women talked in the living room. You're serious about her? Yes. Like long-term serious? I don't know what long-term looks like yet, but yes, I'm serious. Marcus studied him. You seem different, happier. I am happier. Good. You deserve it. Emma would want— Don't! Lucas cut him off. Don't tell me what Emma would want. You didn't know her like that. Fair enough. But for what it's worth, I think you're making the right choice. I'm not choosing anyone over anyone else. I'm just choosing to keep living. That's what I meant. They rejoined the women. Sophie had come downstairs in her pajamas and was showing Maya's painted nails to Sarah with pride. I did the glitter, Sophie announced. It's very sparkly, Sarah agreed. Maya said I can paint her toenails next time, with unicorns. That's ambitious. I'm an ambitious person. Everyone laughed, and Lucas felt something settle in his chest. This was okay. They were going to be okay. Later, after Marcus and Sarah left, after Sophie was in bed, Lucas and Maya sat in the living room with the bookshelf Sophie had reorganized glowing in the lamplight. Your friends are nice, Maya said. They liked you. You can tell? Sarah doesn't laugh like that with people she doesn't like. And Marcus didn't give me his concerned face even once. He has a concerned face? You don't want to see it. It's very judgy. Maya smiled, then grew serious. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you still think about her? Emma? Lucas had been waiting for this question. Every day. Does it hurt? Sometimes, less than it used to, different than it used to. Do you wish things were different? That she was still here? Of course. But that doesn't mean I wish you weren't. How do you hold both those things? Honestly, I don't know. Some days I feel guilty for being happy. Some days I'm just happy and the guilt comes later. I'm figuring it out as I go. Maya leaned against him. My therapist says it's possible to grieve one person while loving another, that the heart is big enough for both. Your therapist sounds smart. She is. She also says I need to work on accepting good things when they happen instead of waiting for them to fall apart. Are you working on it? I'm trying. It's hard. What would help? Maya was quiet for a moment. Time, probably. Proof that this is real and lasting. Evidence that I'm not going to wake up one day and find out it was all temporary. I can give you time, and I can try to give you proof. How? Lucas kissed the top of her head. By staying, by choosing this every day, by not running when things get hard. Things are going to get hard. I know. Sophie's going to have more meltdowns. I'm going to freak out about something. You're going to get overwhelmed balancing work and parenting and whatever this is. Probably. And we're still going to be here? Yes. We're still going to be here. Maya tilted her face up to kiss him properly, and Lucas let himself get lost in it. This was real. This was happening. This was his life now, complicated and messy and more beautiful than he'd thought possible 6 weeks ago when he'd walked into that restaurant expecting nothing. They went to bed together, tangled up in each other, and Lucas fell asleep thinking about the future for the first time in months. Not with dread or grief or emptiness, but with something that felt dangerously close to hope. In the morning, Sophie crawled into bed with them again, and the three of them lay there for a while, warm and comfortable and together. Maya's nail polish was already chipped from where Sophie had applied it too thick, and Lucas's arm was asleep from the weight of both of them, and everything was imperfect and real and exactly what he needed. Daddy? Sophie whispered. Yeah, baby? Are we a family now? Lucas looked at Maya. She looked back, eyes bright, waiting for his answer. Yeah, Soph, he said. I think we are. Good. I like our family. Me too. Me three, Maya added. They stayed in bed for another hour, Sophie between them, talking about nothing and everything. About the aquarium trip finally happening next week, about Maya's job and how her boss was nice but talked too much, about Sophie's friend at school who ate paste and thought it was hilarious. Normal things, family things, the things that mattered. 3 months later, Lucas found himself standing in Sophie's school cafeteria at the annual family breakfast, watching Maya help his daughter flip pancakes on the electric griddle the PTA had set up. Other parents milled around with coffee and forced smiles, making small talk about soccer schedules and reading levels. Lucas had avoided these events since Emma died. Too many pitying looks, too many whispered conversations that stopped when he walked by. But Sophie had begged him to come, had said she wanted to show off her family. Plural. Family. "Your girlfriend's good with kids," a mom Lucas didn't recognize said, appearing at his elbow with orange juice. "Is she a teacher?" "She works in marketing, but yeah, she's good with kids." "How long have you two been together?" Lucas did the math. "About 4 months." "Oh wow, that's still pretty new, especially with—" She trailed off, gesturing vaguely at Sophie, like his daughter's dead mother was too uncomfortable to mention directly. "Yeah," Lucas said, "it's new, but it works." The woman opened her mouth to say something else, probably something about taking things slow or making sure Sophie was adjusting or any of the other unsolicited advice people loved giving him. But Maya appeared with a plate of pancakes. "Sophie says these are for you." She made the smiley face herself. The pancakes were decorated with chocolate chips and a lopsided smile, whipped cream hair, and strawberry eyes, completely ridiculous. Lucas loved them. "Tell her thank you." "Tell her yourself, she's waiting for your review." Lucas carried his plate over to where Sophie stood by the griddle, covered in flour and beaming. "What do you think?" "I think they're perfect. Even though the eyes are different sizes?" "Especially because the eyes are different sizes. Shows character." Sophie giggled and went back to making more pancakes for other parents, completely in her element. Lucas watched her, remembering the quiet, sad girl she'd been right after Emma died. The one who cried every night and asked when Mommy was coming home. She still had hard days. They all did. But this wasn't one of them. Maya slid up next to him. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "How different this is from last year. How much lighter everything feels." "Good different?" "Very good different." They stood together watching Sophie work, and Lucas felt the stares of other parents. Some curious, some judgmental, some probably making up stories about the widowed billionaire and his new girlfriend who'd appeared out of nowhere. Let them stare. Let them whisper. He'd stopped caring what people thought somewhere between the second time Maya stayed over and the morning Sophie asked if Maya could braid her hair for school. After the breakfast, they drove Sophie to school and headed to work. Maya to her office downtown, Lucas to his. They'd fallen into a routine over the past few months. Mornings together, work during the day, evenings as a family. Weekends were for adventures Sophie planned with elaborate detail on construction paper charts she made at school. But today, Lucas couldn't focus on work. He kept thinking about the question that had been circling his mind for weeks, the one he'd been too scared to ask because asking made it real, and real meant it could be rejected. He called Marcus. "I need your help with something." Finally admitting you can't run the company alone? Different kind of help, personal help. Marcus was quiet for a beat. "This is about Maya." "Yeah." "What about her?" Lucas took a breath. "I want to ask her to marry me." "Holy shit." "I know it's fast." "Fast?" "Lucas, you've known her for 4 months. Emma was sick for 8 months before she died. You're telling me you're ready to remarry after barely a year?" "I'm not replacing Emma." "I didn't say you were." "But you're thinking it." Marcus sighed heavily. "I'm thinking this is a big decision, and you should make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Not because you're lonely or because Sophie needs a mother figure or because Maya needs stability. I'm doing it because I love her. Because when I imagine the rest of my life, she's in it. Because Sophie asks me every week when Maya's going to be her real mom, and I don't know how to answer. What does Maya want? I don't know. We haven't talked about marriage. Then maybe you should talk about it before you propose. That defeats the purpose of a proposal. No, that's called being an adult in a mature relationship. Lucas knew Marcus was right, but the rational approach felt wrong. He'd been rational his whole life, careful, measured, strategic. And where had that gotten him? Rich and successful and miserable until Maya walked into his world and made chaos feel like home. "I'm going to ask her," Lucas said. "I just wanted to tell you first, in case it goes badly and I need someone to talk me off a ledge." "It's not going to go badly." "How do you know?" "Because I've seen the way she looks at you, like you hung the moon, and also like she might kill you if you leave the toilet seat up. That's love, man." After he hung up, Lucas spent the rest of the day distracted, mentally planning how to propose. Not at a fancy restaurant. That's where they'd met. And it felt too circular. Not somewhere public where she'd feel pressured to say yes. Somewhere private. Somewhere meaningful. He was still thinking about it when he picked up Sophie from school. She climbed into the car, chattering about her day, about the book they'd read and the drawing she'd made and how her friend Emma, different Emma, not Mommy Emma, had shared her fruit snacks. Daddy, you're not listening. Sorry, Soph, what? I said, when are you going to marry Maya? Lucas nearly drove through a red light. What? When are you going to marry her? Kids at school keep asking if she's my stepmom, and I don't know what to say. What do you want to say? Sophie thought about this seriously. I want to say yes, but she's not my stepmom unless you marry her, right? That's how it works? That's usually how it works, yeah. So when are you going to do it? Would you be okay with it if I married Maya? Daddy, she lives with us already. She makes me breakfast and helps with my homework and reads me stories. She's basically my mom, except not official. She's not trying to replace Mommy. I know, Mommy's still my mommy, but Maya can be my mom too. People can have two moms, right? Emma at school has two moms. They can, yes. Then I want two moms, Mommy in heaven and Maya here. Lucas's throat closed up. When had his daughter gotten so wise? Okay, Soph, I'll work on it. Work on it fast. I want to tell Emma at school that Maya's going to be my mom. That evening, after dinner, after Sophie's bath, after 2 bedtime stories and 3 glasses of water and 4 trips to the bathroom, Lucas and Maya finally sat down alone. She was going through work emails on her laptop, feet tucked under her on the couch, wearing one of his old Stanford sweatshirts she'd claimed as her own. Can I ask you something? Lucas said. Sure. Are you happy? Maya looked up from her screen. What kind of question is that? An honest one. She closed her laptop, gave him her full attention. Yes, I'm happy. Why? I need to make sure that this is what you want, that you're not just here because it's convenient or because you feel obligated or, Lucas, stop. I'm here because I want to be here, because I love you and I love Sophie and I love this life we're building. Yes, it's insane that it happened so fast. Yes, I still have moments where I can't believe this is real. But I'm happy. Genuinely, surprisingly happy. Even with all the complications, Sophie's grief, my work schedule, the judgment from other people, even with all of that, none of it scares me as much as the idea of losing this. Lucas took a breath. This wasn't how he'd planned to do this. No ring, no romantic setup, just the two of them on the couch in their pajamas. But maybe that was more honest than anything he could have staged. Marry me. Maya froze. What? Marry me. I know it's fast, and I know we probably should talk about it more and plan it properly, but I don't want to wait. I want you to be Sophie's mom officially. I want you to be my wife. I want to stop calling this temporary or new or whatever we've been calling it. I just want you. Lucas, you don't have to answer right now. Think about it. Take all the time you need. I just needed to ask. Needed you to know that this isn't just dating or living together or figuring things out. This is it for me. You're it for me. Maya was crying, which could mean anything. Lucas waited, heart pounding, while she wiped her eyes and tried to speak and failed and tried again. You don't have a ring, she finally managed. I know. I wasn't planning to ask tonight. It just came out. That's very you. Emotionally repressed for months and then suddenly proposing on the couch. Is that a yes? I didn't say that. Is it a no? Maya laughed through her tears. It's a, let me finish processing that you just proposed in your pajamas. Take your time. Did you ask Sophie? She's been asking me when I'm going to marry you. Apparently the kids at school want to know if you're her stepmom. What did you tell her? That I was working on it. Maya shook her head, still crying, still laughing. You're insane. This whole situation is insane. That's still not a yes or a no. Yes. Lucas blinked. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. On one condition. What? We do this right. We don't rush into a wedding just because we're excited. We make sure Sophie's okay with all of it. We tell your family, my family, everyone who matters. We do this properly. How long is properly? I don't know, 6 months, a year? However long it takes to make sure we're really ready. I'm ready now. You're always ready now. That's your problem. You make billion-dollar decisions in 5 minutes and then spend months overthinking what to have for breakfast. That's fair. Maya crawled across the couch and kissed him, messy and emotional and perfect. I love you, I'm going to marry you, but we're doing this right. Whatever you want. I want Sophie to be okay. I want your family to accept me. I want to feel like I earned this instead of just lucked into it. You earned it by being you. Then you earned it by being you too. We earned each other. They sat there for a long time, holding each other, letting the reality sink in. Lucas was getting married again. Sophie was getting a mother. Maya was getting a family. Everything was changing, and for once, change felt right. Sophie found out the next morning by eavesdropping on their conversation in the kitchen, then proceeded to scream so loud Mrs. Chen came running from the guest house thinking someone was hurt. Maya's going to be my mom, Sophie announced to everyone within earshot. We haven't told her that yet, Lucas started. But she is. You proposed. That makes her my mom. Maya crouched down to Sophie's level. Is that okay with you? That I'm going to be your mom? Are you kidding? I've been waiting forever. Can I call you mom now? If you want to. You can also keep calling me Maya, whatever feels right. Sophie thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. I'm going to try both, see which one works. She ran off to call her grandmother and tell her the news before Lucas could stop her. Within an hour, his phone was blowing up with texts from family members he barely talked to, all suddenly very interested in his life. Marcus called. You actually did it. I actually did it. Without a ring? I'll get a ring. I was improvising. How'd she take it? She said yes, after calling me insane. Sounds about right. Congratulations, man. I'm happy for you. Thanks. Emma would be happy too, you know. She'd want this for you. Lucas had been waiting for the grief to hit, for the guilt of moving on to overwhelm him. But it didn't come. Just a gentle sadness that Emma wasn't here to see Sophie so happy, tempered by the knowledge that he'd loved her completely and now he got to love someone else completely too. The heart was big enough for both. Over the next few weeks, they told everyone who mattered. Maya's brother flew in from Seattle, met Lucas and Sophie, gave his awkward blessing. Lucas's mother came to visit, spent an entire weekend subtly interrogating Maya before finally admitting she approved. The board of directors found out through the business press and sent congratulations that felt more like concern about his focus, which Lucas ignored. They set a date for the following spring, giving themselves almost a year to plan, to adjust, to make sure this was right. Sophie appointed herself wedding planner and made elaborate plans involving 12 flower girls, a horse-drawn carriage, and a cake as tall as the house. We'll see what we can do, Maya said diplomatically. You're going to crush her dreams, Lucas warned. I'm going to manage her expectations. There's a difference. They started planning together, guest lists and venues and all the details Lucas had thought he'd never deal with again. Maya insisted on keeping it small and simple, which suited Lucas fine. This wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about making official what already felt true. But nothing prepared them for the hard conversations that came with blending a family. One night, about 2 months before the wedding, Sophie had another breakdown. This time it started at dinner when Lucas mentioned something Emma used to cook. I don't remember what Mommy's food tasted like, Sophie said quietly. That's okay, baby. You were pretty young. But I should remember everything about her. Nobody remembers everything, Maya said gently. You didn't know her. You don't get to say what I should remember. She threw her fork down and ran upstairs, and Lucas felt the familiar frustration of grief catching them off guard. Maya looked stricken. I shouldn't have said anything. She's not mad at you. She's mad at forgetting. Should I go talk to her? Give her a few minutes. But when they went upstairs 15 minutes later, Sophie's door was locked again, and she was crying inside. Soph, can we come in? I want Mommy. I know, baby. But Mommy's not here. It's just me and Maya. I don't want Maya. I want my real mom. Lucas felt Maya flinch beside him. Sophie, that's not fair. I don't care. She's not my mom. She's just pretending. Maya's face went pale. She turned and walked away, and Lucas heard the guest bathroom door close. He stood in the hallway, torn between his daughter melting down and his fiancée falling apart. Sophie, he said through the door, I need you to open up right now. No, I'm not asking. Open the door. Something in his tone must have registered because the lock clicked. Sophie sat on her bed, face red and blotchy, clutching the elephant Emma had given her. Lucas sat next to her. What you said to Maya was cruel. I don't care what. Yes, you do. You love Maya. You're just scared. I'm not scared. Then what are you? Sophie's face crumpled. I don't want to forget Mommy, but if I call Maya Mom, then Mommy won't be special anymore. Is that what you think? That having Maya means losing Mommy? Doesn't it? Lucas pulled his daughter close. No, Soph. It doesn't. You can love Maya and still love Mommy. You can call Maya Mom, and it doesn't make Mommy any less your mother. Love doesn't work like that. It doesn't run out. How do you know? Because I loved Mommy with everything I had, and now I love Maya with everything I have. And I still love Mommy too. Different maybe, but still real. Sophie was quiet against his chest. I don't want Maya to leave. She's not going to leave. But what if she does? What if I hurt her feelings too many times and she decides she doesn't want to be my mom anymore? That's not how Maya works. She chose us, Soph. Chose you. People who choose you don't leave just because things get hard. Mommy left. Mommy died. That's different. She didn't choose to leave you. She fought really hard to stay. Sophie cried harder and Lucas just held her, letting her grieve all over again. Grief wasn't linear. It came in waves, sometimes when you least expected it, triggered by the smallest things. After a while, Sophie's crying slowed. I should apologize to Maya. Yeah, you should. Is she mad at me? I don't think so, but she's probably hurt. They found Maya in the bathroom, sitting on the floor with her knees pulled to her chest, crying quietly. She looked up when the door opened, tried to wipe her face. I'm sorry, Sophie said in a small voice. I didn't mean it. You are my mom. You're just different from Mommy. Maya opened her arms and Sophie climbed into them, and they sat on the bathroom floor together, while Lucas watched from the doorway. I get scared sometimes too, Maya said softly. Scared that I'm not good enough, that I'll never measure up to your first mom. You don't have to measure up. You just have to be you. When did you get so smart? Daddy told me he's smart sometimes. Only sometimes? Lucas asked. Sophie giggled. Mostly times. They ordered pizza for dinner and ate it on the living room floor again because that had somehow become their tradition for hard days. Sophie sat between them, one hand on each of their legs, anchoring them together. Later, after Sophie was asleep, Maya and Lucas lay in bed in the dark. I don't know if I can do this, Maya whispered. Do what? Be a mom. Be enough for her when I'm competing with a memory. You're not competing with Emma. You're adding to Sophie's life, not replacing what she lost. It doesn't feel that way when she's screaming that I'm not her real mom. She's 5. She doesn't know how to process complex emotions. Hell, I'm 32 and I barely know how to process complex emotions. Maya turned to face him in the dark. What if I mess her up? You won't. How do you know? Because you love her, because you show up, because you're trying. That's all anyone can do. What if it's not enough? It will be. Maya was quiet for a long time. My therapist says I have this pattern where I expect people to reject me eventually. So I either leave first or I push them away so they'll leave and prove I was right all along. Are you going to do that with us? I don't want to, but I'm scared. Of what? That one day you'll wake up and realize I'm just some random woman you took pity on. That Sophie will grow up and resent me for trying to replace her mother. That I'll never be enough no matter how hard I try. Lucas pulled her close. You're not some random woman. You're the woman who saw me crying in a restaurant and stayed anyway. Who helped my daughter make cookies when she barely knew us. Who moved into this house and made it feel like a home again. You're enough, Maya. You've always been enough. Promise? Promise. She fell asleep in his arms, and Lucas stayed awake thinking about promises and whether anyone could really keep them. He'd promised Emma he'd always love her, and he did, even though she was gone. He was promising Maya forever, knowing that forever was never guaranteed. But maybe that was the point. You made the promises anyway. You tried anyway. You loved people knowing you might lose them because the alternative was not loving at all. The months before the wedding passed in a blur of planning and work and normal life. Maya got promoted at her job. Sophie lost her first tooth. Lucas closed a deal that made the business press call him a genius, which Marcus found hilarious because Lucas couldn't remember where he'd put his keys most days. They had good days and hard days and boring days where nothing remarkable happened at all. They fought about stupid things, whose turn it was to do dishes, whether Sophie could have ice cream before dinner, how to load the dishwasher correctly. Normal couple things that felt extraordinary because they were building a life together. 2 weeks before the wedding, Maya's brother pulled Lucas aside at the rehearsal dinner. "You better treat her right." "I will. I'm serious. She's been through hell. If you hurt her, You'll what?" Maya's brother, who was 3 inches shorter than Lucas and worked as an accountant, deflated slightly. "I'll be very disappointed, and possibly write you a strongly worded email." Lucas laughed. "Fair enough. But really, she deserves this. Deserves to be happy, so don't screw it up." "I won't." "Good." The wedding day arrived faster than Lucas expected. They'd chosen a small venue, just close friends and family, exactly like Maya wanted. Sophie wore a purple dress she'd picked out herself and carried flowers with an expression of deep seriousness, like she was performing surgery. Lucas stood at the altar in a suit that cost too much and felt too tight, watching Maya walk down the aisle with her brother. She wore a simple dress, nothing elaborate, and she was crying before she even reached him. "You okay?" he whispered when she got close enough. "I'm terrified," she whispered back. "Of what?" "That I'm going to wake up, and this will all be a dream." "It's real. I promise it's real." The ceremony was short. Neither of them wanted a long, drawn-out thing. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, crying through most of it, while Sophie stood next to them providing quiet commentary that made everyone laugh. "Now you're officially married," the officiant said finally. "You may kiss your bride." Lucas kissed Maya, and Sophie cheered, and the small crowd applauded, and for a moment everything was perfect. Not perfect in a fake way, perfect in the way real life can be perfect sometimes, when all the pieces align just right. The reception was at the same venue, dinner and dancing, and a cake that was nowhere near as tall as Sophie had requested, but made up for it with elaborate purple flowers. Sophie insisted on giving a speech, which was mostly her talking about how Maya made the best cookies, and also Daddy was less sad now, which made everyone cry. Marcus gave a speech about how he'd never thought Lucas would date again, let alone remarry, and how Maya had proven everyone wrong, including Lucas himself. Sarah cried the whole time. Maya's brother gave a speech about how his sister deserved every happiness and how he'd fight anyone who said otherwise, even though they all knew he couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. And then it was just dancing. Lucas and Maya had their first dance to a song Sophie helped pick, something about love and home and finding your person. Sophie insisted on joining halfway through, squeezing between them, and they danced as three until the song ended and everyone clapped. Later, when Sophie was asleep on Mrs. Chen's lap and most of the guests had gone home, Lucas and Maya stood outside in the cool night air, still in their wedding clothes, holding each other. "We did it," Maya said. "We did. I'm somebody's wife now. That's weird to say. I'm somebody's husband again. That's weird to think." "Do you feel guilty?" Lucas considered the question honestly. "No, I thought I would, but I don't. I feel lucky. I got to love Emma completely, and now I get to love you completely. Not everyone gets that twice." "I've never had it once before you." "Then we both got lucky." They went back inside, said goodbye to the last guests, and drove home with Sophie passed out in the back seat, still wearing her purple dress and flower crown. At home, Lucas carried Sophie to bed while Maya changed out of her wedding dress. They tucked their daughter in together, and Sophie mumbled something about the wedding being fun before falling back asleep. "She didn't call me Mom today," Maya said quietly as they left Sophie's room. "She will when she's ready." "I know. I'm not pushing, just noting." They went to their bedroom, not Lucas's bedroom anymore, theirs, and Maya hung up her wedding dress while Lucas struggled with his tie. "Let me," she said, taking over. She undid his tie, his buttons, helped him out of the jacket he'd been suffocating in all day. He did the same for her, unzipping her dress, helping her step out of it. They changed into pajamas without the moment turning sexual, both too tired and too full of emotion for anything except being close. In bed, Maya curled against his side in the position that had become theirs over the past year. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." "No, I mean, I really love you. Like scary amounts. Like I can't imagine my life without you in it anymore." "Good. Because you're stuck with me now." What a hardship. Being married to a billionaire? Truly tragic. She laughed and hit him lightly. You know that's not what I care about. I know, but it's fun to remind you anyway. They fell asleep like that, married and happy and scared and hopeful all at once. This was it. The rest of their lives starting now. Lucas had thought his life was over when Emma died, had thought the best parts were behind him, that he'd spend the rest of his years going through the motions for Sophie's sake. But lying there with Maya, married for approximately 6 hours, he realized the best parts might still be ahead. That life didn't end when someone died. It just changed shape, made room for new people, and new love, and new versions of yourself you didn't know existed. Morning came too early, and with it, Sophie bouncing on their bed. You're married! You're officially married. Can I tell everyone at school that Maya's my mom now? Maya sat up, hair a mess, makeup smudged from last night. Is that what you want to call me? Sophie climbed between them, serious and thoughtful. I want to call you Mom. Is that okay? It's more than okay. But I still love my other mom. My first mom. I know you do. That doesn't change. And you won't be mad if I talk about her? Never. Your first mom is part of you. I'd never want you to stop talking about her. Sophie nodded, satisfied. Okay, then you're mom and she's mommy. 2 different words for 2 different people. That works perfectly. Sophie hugged Maya hard, then Lucas, then both of them together. I'm glad you married my dad. Me too, kiddo. Even though he can't make pancakes right? Especially because he can't make pancakes right. Means I get to teach him. Good luck. I've been trying for years. They spent the morning in bed together, the 3 of them, talking about nothing important. Eventually, hunger drove them downstairs, where Mrs. Chen had already made breakfast and was pretending she hadn't been watching them through the window with tears in her eyes. Congratulations, she said simply. Thank you, Maya said, for everything, for accepting me. You're family now. That's how it works. Family. Maya had been searching for that word, that feeling, for her entire life. And now she had it. Not perfect, not without complications, but real. Over the next few weeks, they settled into married life, which looked remarkably similar to unmarried life, except Maya's last name changed and the credit cards all got updated. Sophie started calling Maya Mom consistently, sometimes forgetting and saying Maya, then correcting herself. Every time she said it, Maya's face would light up in a way that made Lucas fall in love with her all over again. They had hard days still. Days when Sophie cried for Emma. Days when Maya felt inadequate. Days when Lucas got overwhelmed balancing work and family and everything in between, but they faced them together now, as a unit, as a family. One evening, about 2 months after the wedding, Sophie came downstairs with the elephant Emma had given her. Mom? She said to Maya. Yeah? Can we put Mommy's pictures back up? The photos of Emma had been quietly moved to Sophie's room after Maya moved in, a decision Lucas had made to avoid making Maya uncomfortable. Now Sophie was asking to reverse it. Of course, Maya said without hesitation. She's part of this family too. They spent the evening going through boxes of photos Lucas had packed away, picking out the best ones. Emma at their wedding, Emma pregnant with Sophie, Emma holding newborn Sophie in the hospital, Emma on vacations and at holidays and in normal everyday moments. They hung them in the living room alongside newer photos, Maya and Sophie baking cookies. The 3 of them at the zoo, the wedding photos from 2 months ago. Past and present existing together, no longer in competition. Sophie stood back and studied the wall of photos critically. It looks good. Yeah? Lucas asked. Yeah, it's everyone who loves me. That's a good way to look at it. That night, after Sophie was asleep, Lucas and Maya sat on the back porch again, in the same spot where Lucas had first said he loved her. Thank you for today, Lucas said. For being okay with the photos. Of course I'm okay with it. Emma's part of Sophie's story, part of your story. I'd never want to erase that. Not everyone would be that understanding. I'm not everyone. No, you're definitely not. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Lucas thought about the night he'd walked into that restaurant expecting nothing and found everything instead. Thought about Maya crying over nothing and everything. Thought about how broken they'd both been and how they'd somehow put each other back together. Can I tell you something? Maya said eventually. Always. That night we met, when you found me crying in the restaurant, I'd already decided I was done. Done trying, done fighting, done with everything. Lucas felt his chest tighten. What do you mean, done? I mean, I'd written a note, left it in my car, was planning to end it after the date because I figured at least I'd have one nice meal first. Maya, Mati, I'm telling you this because I want you to know what you saved me from. Not just poverty or homelessness or whatever. You saved my life by sitting down, by staying, by seeing me when I'd been invisible for so long. Lucas pulled her close, shaking slightly. I didn't know. How could you? But I need you to know now. I need you to understand that this isn't just about love or marriage or building a family. This is about you giving me a reason to keep breathing, and then giving me more reasons every single day since. You gave me reasons too, gave me back my daughter, gave me back myself. They held each other as the night grew darker and cooler around them, two people who'd been drowning separately and learned to swim together. We're going to be okay, Maya whispered. Yeah, we are. And for the first time in years, Lucas believed it without reservation. Life wasn't perfect, would never be perfect. There would be more hard days, more grief, more complications they couldn't predict, but they'd face it together, him and Maya and Sophie and whatever came next. Inside, Mrs. Chen was cleaning up the kitchen. The house was warm and bright, filled with photos of past and present, of loss and love, and everything in between. Lucas and Maya stayed outside a while longer, not ready to go in yet, content to exist in this moment. Tomorrow, there would be work and school and normal life. But tonight there was just this, two broken people who'd found each other at their lowest and built something beautiful from the wreckage. I'm glad you sat down that night, Maya said. Me too. Even though I was crying and probably looked insane, especially because of that. You were real. I needed real. What a pair we make. The best pair. She laughed, and Lucas memorized the sound, added it to all the other moments he wanted to remember. This was his life now. Not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd expected, but the one he'd found when he stopped hiding from pain and started opening himself to possibility. Eventually, they went inside, checked on Sophie one more time. She'd kicked off her blankets again, and went to bed. Maya fell asleep first, her breathing evening out, her body relaxed against his. Lucas stayed awake a little longer, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. Emma dying, Sophie grieving, him drowning in loss and loneliness, Marcus setting up a blind date, Maya showing up paid to be there, desperate and broken. That first moment of recognition when their eyes met, two people who understood suffering. All of it had been necessary. All of it had led here. Lucas closed his eyes and let himself drift off. Maya's warmth beside him, Sophie safe down the hall, the house full of photos and memories and life. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, everything was exactly as it should be, and that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.